That's funny.
I will say this. Out of all the things that went on this weekend, folks, for everybody at home, we'll start out like this. Dylan was upset about his horns. There's no doubt. I wasn't there to see it. He could have been losing his mind. I don't know. But he was actually behaving himself on text messages. I would only get like 7 or 8 in a row, which is shocking. Maybe because you had Jonathan to vent to over there. But I still think the most upset I've seen this man all weekend was he had no money on the game, but the Minnesota Lynx were robbed of the WNBA championship. This man was jumping around, losing his mind in the media room about a Breonna Stewart foul. And looking back to see my reaction, which there was zero reaction because I didn't care. But all I know is my girl, whatever her name is.
Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah, Sabrina Ionescu was 1 for 20, but she hit one really, really big shot.
Yeah, and then she missed the next 3 big shots, too.
It's okay. But that one big shot. And I will say that it's hilarious that we're starting with this, but rightfully so because we're a big WNBA show with WNBA not. But I will say that there was some home cooking going on in the game.
It was the most rigged.
I listen. It was not you. You definitely went overboard with because I have seen the end of like the Kings Lakers.
It's worse than Kings Lakers.
No way. No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. Maybe because that game meant something to you and just meant nothing.
No,
to
I
me.
actually watched that Kings Lakers game back the other day, and I remember watching that game live. I was so young, I probably didn't even register with me. But watching that back.
Oh, my God. You don't remember watching that live? That's like your dad saying he served in Vietnam. You do not remember watching that live. What year was that?
Can I finish? It was in 2003 or 2002. I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. And I do remember watching it live at the beach. We were watching it live. We were at the Pelican with Will Nash. I was with Will Nash and Dub.
Shout out, Will.
And Will's dad, Dub.
He hit a game-winning a grand slam off me in like Little League, Summer League that still hasn't landed. Ball's still in outer space. Fucking smoked it.
Will was a good young baseball player.
Yeah, he was. Now, keep in mind, we were playing on the fields on Nacogdoches that are like 180 feet deep, so he could have hit it anywhere in the air, but he hit it a long way. And I just remember he hit it, and I walked off the field. I was like, oh, that's gone.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad as when we played baseball together, and I had never played before. And I only played because there wasn't enough players for the tennis team. Yeah. And we were undefeated with Turner. And then in that game that he started, he pitched. His arm popped. And, that was the end of his career and the end of our season. B. We literally lost every other game. We were 6-0 with him and 0-8 without him.
Peaked in middle school. Hell of a ball player in 8th grade.
Damn straight. But back to my Minnesota Lynx. Not my Minnesota Lynx. I really don't love the Minnesota Lynx. I don't really care that much. But I can tell you this. Hold on. I cared about the game last night because I can't stand the New York Liberty and their stupid British coach. I almost said the F word right there. By the way, you were saying I curse more. 13 to 8 F-bombs in favor of you last episode.
Jeremiah said you're beeping those these days.
I am trying to. It's funny.
He said you're beeping most of them, he said it's good.
Yeah.
It cleans up the show.
And
we're a family show.
I also, for some reason, think it's funnier when you beep the words.
It's
funnier. I laugh
is.
more back watching it when I hear the beeps as opposed to us just saying the F word.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
But didn't say it there. I should say it because it was effing ridiculous how bad. The free throw count in that game was what? 25 to 8. 25 to 8. Nafisa Collier shot 18 times in the paint and did not shoot a single free throw.
Get this off your chest. Let's wrap this up.
Let's started here, not
Caitlin
me.
Clark's season's over. Listen, when Caitlin Clark's
season... Did you even notice what I'm wearing here?
No, I didn't. But Caitlin Clark, when Caitlin Clark got knocked out, the WNBA season ended, okay?
I'm not a crook.
No one gives a shit what happened with the Liberty and Lynx.
I really don't either. I'll forget about it later today, but it was highway robbery. I will say that. And the Minnesota Lynx coach came out and said that. Yeah. Okay, done with that. We're only going to come back to WNBA one more time this episode, and it'll be for WNBA or not. But welcome in to episode number 55 of the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. We're here. We're ready. Yes, my Horns lost this week. The Cowboys did not lose because they didn't play. And I guess we'll jump right in since we are going to pass the WNBA, and we're going to go to the Brookie to start. And I have a great Brookie here for us.
Do you?
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this because we didn't watch games together on Saturday. He's been ditching me on Saturdays.
I typically watch football with my brothers on Saturday and Bernie, and I watch the
sometimes
NFL at your house.
I don't like that. I think you should spend both days with me. I don't like that at all.
Listen, as much as I love watching football all day, every day, like I really do, I could do that every day of my life. when we sit in your media room with the 5 TVs, no one moves for 12 hours. So I feel like I have to go do something on Saturdays. Fair. Otherwise, it's like that meme from The Office where Kevin's like, "What did you do, Kevin?" I watched, it's like Big Cat always does it. I watch 15 hours of football, nonstop, commercial-free football or whatever.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. I told your dad last night because, he's a big church guy. Goes to church on Mondays.
Yeah, he does.
He goes once
a week.
I will say this. I asked him when you were picking up popcorn, I go, "You think if we're lucky enough to get up to the pearly gates, that God might let you in, but he's going to say you watch too much football?" He's like, "Oh, yeah. He's going to say you watch way too much football. You should have been doing something else with your time." But he goes, "I can't help it. I'm never going to change." It's pretty funny.
I mean, if I have to go to purgatory for a few months just because of watching too much football, I can handle that because I'm not going to not watch football when I'm here. I will say on Mondays, sometimes I get up and I feel like I've worked really hard for 2 days because I've just not.
And you've done nothing.
I've done nothing. Well, mentally, I've done quite a bit. Just physically haven't moved.
Yep.
But back to my Brookie of the week. This week's Brookie it goes to Brady Cook, and I'm not a Brady Cook guy. He's the quarterback for the Missouri Tigers, and I think he's an average SEC quarterback, right?
He looks way worse this year. I don't know what's going on.
No, he does, but I didn't like him. You tried to tell me that I was a Brady Cook guy.
You're a big
I've never liked Brady Cook.
Yeah.
But
we'll find it somewhere.
When you step up and you display the pure determination, like the determination of a shark who smells blood in the water, the heart of a lion, the grit of a chihuahua who's been bitten by a pit bull. Her eyes are filling with those bloodshot eyes, and they're looking up at you, and she looks up and she says, "That's all you got, bitch? That's all you got?" Okay?
The Brookie.
You absolutely deserve a Brookie if that's you. And that was Brady Cook this weekend because he got hit, and they thought he broke his ankle or his leg.
Yeah.
And so they carted him off and took him to the hospital. He's getting an X-ray and an MRI, and it came back negative. And those ambulance drivers were gonna, I don't know what they were gonna do with him, but he said, "Take me back to the field." And they drove him back to the field, and he walked up to whatever Drinkowitz or whatever the coach's name for Missouri, and he said, "Put me back in." He comes back in the fourth quarter. They're down 17-6, and he leads back-to-back touchdown drives, the second of which was a 95-yard touchdown drive with 3.5 minutes to go.
And it was a struggle.
Save their season.
Struggle.
It wasn't,
but he got it done. Do they only have one loss?
Yeah.
That's insane. They are not good.
They haven't played anybody. They should have lost to Vanderbilt at home.
Yeah.
They should have lost. Who, by the way, Vanderbilt is ranked in the top 25 this week.
Way to go, Bailey. Congratulations.
Look at that. Now they have to play Texas.
It's been a long time coming, and don't try to jump on the train, people.
That's right. Now they have to play Texas, who's coming off of this big loss, so good luck with that.
Oh, dude, Vandy's going to smoke them.
I hope they do beat them.
Heard it here first.
But anyway, yeah.
Are you going, Bailey, or no? Or is that this weekend, or when is that game?
Yeah, 26th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on Saturday. Yeah. It's this weekend. It'll be, I think actually
Bailey's got to stay here and run the studio because Big Dog's on one of his extravagant vacations on a yacht somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean.
They were
somewhere in the islands, maybe the Bahamas, maybe Grand Turk. I don't know. Somewhere out that way.
That's not where he is. But
yeah.
They were saying that
that's what he told me.
Had Texas won this week, that there was a decent chance they were going to go to Nashville for game day this week. They thought it was going to be in Vanderbilt if Texas won because they were going to be number one. Vandy would have been ranked for the first time in a long time. Instead, weirdly enough, I like that they're going to Indiana, but they're playing Washington. It's a weird game to go to Indiana on.
And their quarterback's going to be hurt, right?
Yeah, well, I want to get to that later because that sucks. He's out indefinitely with a thumb injury.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. Now, their next 3 games are like all winnable without him, but, I don't know. We'll come back to them.
Probably get in the playoff with one loss anyway. So
they definitely will, and they don't play Penn State. They only play Ohio State. Now they do have to play Michigan, but they look horrible.
They should be able to beat Michigan.
They very well could. They might get in with 2 losses. Honestly, the way the SEC is losing games right now. Do you have a Brookie of the week?
Yeah, Oregon mascot getting trucked, goes down, no thought into it, just immediately tries to pick up the head so she doesn't. He or she, I couldn't even tell. I just watched it quickly. Picked up the head and stuck it right back on so no one could see the true identity of the duck. It's professionalism. You love to see it. That's why the Oregon mascot gets the Brookie.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, those mascots give their blood, sweat, and tears out there on the field. Don't get any accolades. So now
Don't get any
the
accolades.
Oregon Duck.
They get to be in the college football video game with the mask. You can play the mascot game where it's all mascots.
That is true. I forgot about that. That was always a good time.
You can say, hey,
and they're 90. Everybody's 99. Everything. It's a mascot.
You can say I'm the best ranked player in college football. They get all the credit there. Yeah, that was funny. You sent me that old video that we thought might have been from this week of Oklahoma crashing.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite.
I
thought they did it again, which I'm sure it could have. It didn't seem like it would be that hard to flip the old boomer schooner.
Yeah,
Sooner.
When are they going to stop doing that? There's all types of stuff in college football that just could go very wrong with those things. But
best thing I saw this week. You want to do that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mormon Magic, of course. Friday night. Dylan's texting me the whole time that they're going to lose. I said, listen, I'm going to bed. I can assure you when I wake up, the Mormons in Provo on Friday night will win the game. Dylan had the audacity to already type out a text message that he didn't send, saying not even you trying to jinx the Mormons, or sorry, me, because I can jinx anybody. He goes,
yeah.
I said I couldn't even jinx the Mormons, and he goes, you underestimated your jinx.
That's right.
Not so fast, my friend. BYU scores. 10 seconds left, 35-yard touchdown.
Not so fast,
Still
my friend.
Undefeated.
BYU scores because they were on their own 35-yard line with 29 seconds to go and one timeout. And who stepped up? The self-proclaimed chosen one, BYU. And BYU let him down the field. Two plays. He ran 40 yards, and then he threw for a 35-yard touchdown. Mormon Magic comes through. It's unbelievable. Just a treat to watch at night. On a Thursday or Friday night. This week it was Friday.
Can't beat the Mormons after dark. Can't do it. Can't beat them.
That's like playing like Washington State late at night. It's just impossible to win. You don't play Washington State right up in Pullman at night with Mike Leach as the head coach and come away with a victory or come out unscathed. It just doesn't happen. All right, and the Mormons somehow are undefeated. I cannot believe it.
Great football team. Fantastic.
Yeah, impressive. Best thing I saw this week. I don't know if you actually saw this. My dad sent it to me last night, but it was Jameis Winston's speech, and I can play it here.
Was he eating W's out there?
No, dude, it was about, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it was about Deshaun Watson. So basically what he said was, Deshaun Watson ruptured his Achilles yesterday. We saw it live, and it was confirmed today.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for Deshaun Watson. That was watching somebody rupture their Achilles it's difficult to watch. I wish I hadn't have seen it because I hate watching that.
That one's easier for me to see than was like the Hutchinsons where the legs just go.
Did his break in half? I didn't actually see it.
I didn't see it, but yeah, that's what I heard.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
People kept showing it like on Twitter. You could find it.
I'm glad I didn't watch that. Yeah. But I agree. Those are both hard to watch. I don't like watching any of that. But Winston came out because after Watson tore his Achilles, a lot of Browns fans were celebrating.
Yeah, they were cheering.
Let's be honest.
It's Cleveland. Come on.
It's Cleveland.
What do you expect?
I mean, look.
Cleveland, Detroit, Philly, it all happened the same in those cities. New York.
The terrible towel man. Now you see me, now you don't. Massage master himself. I don't know how much good karma that guy's built up. But the guy ruptures his Achilles. It's like you don't go down on a man when he's down on his luck. And that's exactly what Famous Jameis said. And I'm going to play a clip here real quick from Famous Jameis.
I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to be great.
It's really good. Hold on. You're going to enjoy this.
The way I was raised, I was taught to love no matter the circumstances, especially for people who do right by you. I'm grateful that I had a chance to serve Deshaun, but I am very upset with the reaction to a man that has had the world against him for the past 4 years, and he put his body and life on the line for this city every single day, regardless of your perception, regardless of what you thought should happen with him. He committed every single day that I've been here to be the best that he can be for this team. And I know I come from the deep south, Birmingham, Alabama, Belmont, Alabama. So I know the standard that hungry fans want. But the way I was raised, I will never pull on a man when he's down.
I love Jameis. I will be
the person to lift him up.
Lift him up, Jameis. You lift him up.
And that
We won't watch the whole thing, but
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Knowing him, he could go for another 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The one he's a
That was-
walking, talking soundbite. I mean, he's just he gives the best.
Oh, he's the
best interviews. When he was on Part of My Take, he was talking about Mike Evans being from Galveston. He's like, he's from Galveston.
I saw
You
that
ever been
one.
to Galveston? He's like, it's nasty water down there, man. But he lived. He's like, he was molded by the people that grow up by water. They different.
Yeah, they different.
They
Yeah.
different down there. He goes,
different.
that ain't no pretty beach, man. He's like, but he built different down there. And I'm like, how does this have anything to do with Mike Evans? Yeah, no, Jameis is the best, dude.
But that was like,
And he needs to play next week. We need to get famous out there. Famous Jameis needs to be in the game.
T.O. That's my quarterback
That's my
level
quarterback.
speech right there. But no, you're right. The fact that Kevin Stefanski threw out Dorian Thompson-Robinson and not famous Jameis, he needs to be out there playing next week.
Famous Jameis.
Unbelievable. He's eating dubs. He's a leader of men, plain and simple.
Eating
Get him out there.
dubs.
Get him out there. All right. Let's get us some top storylines here. Let's start with the Jets. Watched the game together last night against the Steelers. They get blown out, right? They're up 15-6. I mean, the fans are booing Russell Wilson last night. He couldn't complete a pass in the first quarter. The Steelers couldn't move the ball. Nothing was going right for Pittsburgh. New York goes up 15-6. Looks like they're going to run away with it. And then what happens? Well, they put up 31 unanswered. The Steelers did win the game 37-16. The Jets did not score another offensive point. Rodgers threw multiple interceptions again.
Are you gonna apologize to Mike Tomlin? Are you still gonna say they're going under 500?
No, they are going to go under 500. Like 100%. And when looking at their schedule yesterday,
Oh my god, dude.
they're going to. It's not even a debate. Oh, are you going to change your tune that they're going to go 8-1? Because I'm just saying.
I know. I said 9-8 or 8-1.
No. You said
They will go. No. I said Mike Tomlin. My exact words were Mike Tomlin will not have a losing record.
You
so
did,
it's either 9-8 or 8-1.
But no, we'll go back to the video.
And I said they won't make the playoffs,
We'll go back to the video.
which are all true.
Because I said, you think they're going to win 9 games? And you said, that's not what I said. And you go,
I said
8-1.
but he won't have a losing season.
You did say that, but you get half of a point for that and half a point
bullshit.
for 8-1.
If they have a winning record, if they go 9-8, I get credit for that for
I
sure.
don't agree with that.
Oh my
We'll
god!
have to go
Only
to the
you would
tape.
be like, if they don't tie, you don't
I'm
get
just
credit.
saying, when I clarified and I said, so you think they're going to win 9 games? You said, I didn't say that.
I said they're going to go at least 500.
8-1.
Yep, that's true.
8-1. They're
Yep.
going to win 8, lose 8, and tie 1. I'm
They-
just saying
they
that was
could.
what your prediction
Are-
was. I stick to the facts,
Oh
and I
my
stick
God.
to the tape,
Oh
and
my
that's
God.
what the tape
You're
will
a
say.
noted Steelers hater. Great football team,
Great
led
football
by a great head coach.
Yeah, he's so
37. Well, has he ever had a losing record?
good. Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Have they made the playoffs the last couple years?
Doesn't matter.
With
Has he ever-
7 teams
has
in
he
the
ever-
playoffs?
Has
No.
he ever lost?
Yeah, he's
No.
lost plenty.
He's never had a losing record. He's a winner. Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin does not lose football games.
Yeah. Well, they will have a losing record this year. And Russell Wilson, it was funny last night after the game. I know you left with like
Russell's
30
a
seconds
man.
to go, but they go, he's had some really, some catchphrases at his past places. Go Hawks was the one in Seattle. And then you have the infamous Broncos country, let's ride. And so they were trying to get him to say, they go, hey, you've had your catchphrases the last couple of games, you want to,
Did he
give us
refuse to do it?
he goes, well, let's just wait on that one. And she's like, come on, just give us something. Give us something. He's like, no, we're going to wait on that one. Good, because that was the biggest meme thing on the internet when he said Broncos country, let's ride. And then it's him riding into a dumpster multiple times. Oh, man. I was hoping he gave us something. But
what a great player.
He did play good last night. I want to talk about the Jets, though. And, look,
Devontae Adams left a 2-5 team to go to a 2-5 team.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But at least it's with his homies. That's what someone said. It's like
Will this
2-5, but I'm with my homies.
Are they done? Is their season over?
Yeah, at 2-5, yeah.
You think it's over?
I just don't see it, even if they get it going, even if they start to get it going. They're not going to win that division. I guess they could potentially sneak in as somehow a wild card team, but I don't know. I don't see it happening.
I think they said the stat, it's like 10 teams have ever started 2-5 and made the playoffs. I will say it is easier nowadays.
Oh, for
because
sure,
with
yeah.
the seven teams, you get the extra team in the playoff. There are teams that There are teams in the back before there were 7 teams that if you were 9, the Giants, both times they won the Super Bowl, were 9-7 and went to the playoffs. But you can go 9-8 and make the playoffs. Now,
let's see their schedule.
In order to do pull it up and I'll put it on the screen. In order to do that, right, they would have to go 7. There's 10 games left. They'd have to go 7-3. They have to finish the year 7-3. That's just to go 9-8 and have a winning record. They'd have to go 8-2 to pretty much guarantee being in the playoffs. So they really have very little margin for error left.
I mean, looking at their schedule, they could go 7-3 though. It's not impossible. They're going to beat the Patriots at home against the Texans. I would assume that's a loss. I think they can beat the Cardinals at home against the Colts. They'll probably win. Seahawks, it's at home at least. At the Dolphins, it just all depends on Tua. Yeah, man, I don't know. I still say no, but I could see them getting to 8 wins and it being close. It sucks for them that they don't play the Dolphins until late, right? Like they didn't get one of the games against the Dolphins where they have no quarterback essentially. So,
yeah.
Well, I don't know, but
the one that hurts, I think, looking at their schedule from who they've played, the one that really hurts here is the Broncos at home 4 weeks ago.
10-9.
10-9. They should
have won the game.
They were up the whole game. You're at home. You're playing a Bo Nix in his 4th career start who can't move the ball a lick. I think they had like under 200 yards of total offense in the game. And if you win that game, that gives you another game margin for error. And I agree. Looking at their schedule is not tough whatsoever. I mean, especially if they could like steal that one against the Bills on the road, split with the Bills, then you have a legitimate shot. That's going to be a big game. But I agree. Like their schedule is not deathly, but dude, they've just. I mean, it's not like they're playing good. Like I they have to really turn something around. The defense looks bad. That's what's surprising to me. The defense looks horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
the offense. I would have expected them to start clicking better up into this point. I mean, I think they've had time. Obviously, they just got Devontae Adams, so that should help. But like you said, it's mainly the defense just being a disappointment.
Was that
not like they've played? The defense really hadn't played horrible, I guess. I mean, that's what they're making the argument is like, why the hell are they firing solid? Like the defense, like ranking wise and whatever. I mean,
sure.
You could say that they're not great, which I agree with, but they're not bad. The defense is playing well enough that if the offense was doing what they were supposed to, they'd be winning more games.
No, I agree that, like, if you want to blame somebody, it's definitely more the offense.
For sure, yeah.
But I'm just saying, based on expectations.
Yeah, we thought the defense was going to be elite.
Was going to be a top 5 defense, and they're a middle of the pack defense. That's what I meant.
I mean, I don't know how they just fell apart last night against the Steelers. Like I said, the one touchdown, I mean, I guess really 2 touchdowns. The last play of the game they scored, and the pick that shouldn't have been. It was a pick only because Garrett Wilson dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And they returned it to the 1 yard line.
I forgot about that.
So
Their drive was very short.
There's 14 points essentially. Now, the Steelers would have kicked the field goal in normal circumstances.
Call it
11. It was 14 points. Yeah, whatever. I mean, basically 11 free points that the defense gave up. So,
and if you look at the rest of the games, right, like they've given up, with the exception of week 1 to the 49ers, they gave up 32, 17, 3, 10, 23, 23. So they've not been getting. But again, it's just like I'm looking at Pro Football Focus right now. They're the 17th ranked defense.
Yeah.
It's like they were number 1 last year.
They got to be better than that.
They did lose their top defensive lineman, right? Like they lost. They traded away another piece for Hassan Reddick, who hasn't played a snap.
Did he not play yesterday?
I didn't see him in there.
I guess he'll start
him.
playing next game.
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, yeah. I mean, one more question on the Jets, and we'll move on from this game. Do you think they made a mistake trading for Devontae Adams? I get being all in now.
No, what did they give up?
It was a 3rd rounder.
Because they're all in now, and like you said, all the guaranteed money's run out on that contract, and they were trying to save the season. Like you said, they're all in now. If they don't win it with Rodgers, which it's sure not looking like they will, I do think, I know we talked about this, I actually do think he'll try to come back for one more year.
Really?
I do. I don't know how effective they'll be, and it depends if they can, there's several things that go into that, but I actually do think he's going to come back for one more year, but I get why they did it. And for a 3rd rounder, I think you do it. I think you just roll the dice and say, hey, this is our window.
Yeah.
Because if they don't win it with him, they're going to be the same old shitty Jets for a long time.
And they know more than I do, obviously. But Aaron Rodgers will be 41 in December, so he's going to turn 41 this season. If he plays next year, he will turn 42, coming off the Achilles, obviously last year. But that also
does he have one more year on his deal?
No, it was a 2-year deal. I think he'd have to sign it.
Oh, so it had to be a 1-year deal or something?
I could be wrong, but
no,
I
think you're right deal. Because I forgot that last year.
And so, let's see. No, I'm sorry. It says Rodgers is in the second year of what is effectively a 3-year deal.
Is it a player option?
Yeah, I think so.
Then he's coming back.
So that must be why they also went out and got Adams, which is, okay, well, even if this season ends up being lost, we got one more crack at this next year. We get the defense right. We get Adams in the offense again and keep him for a year. They get back going. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're not going to do everything they can to win this year. That's why I thought it was weird. But that's why I thought it was weird that you fire Saleh. Like, how many times do you see a team fire a coach and then go win a Super Bowl? If you're trying to win a Super Bowl this year, what is the belief to fire your coach and basically promote a guy who the last 2 places he's been at, the head coach has been fired because the team has been bad, and he's been promoted to interim defensive coordinator and then to interim head coach. Like, I don't get that at all.
Yeah.
And again, like we said, what was the problem? Mainly the first couple games, it was the offense, but the defense is middle of the pack. Why is he getting promoted to head coach? You fire the defensive head coach to hire the defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
It just shows that Rodgers didn't like him. It's always so great when he goes on back. He's like, I can't believe people are saying I had something to do with this.
It's such garbage. And
he's
then
such a fucking
we talk every day.
Shyster.
We talk every day. He's a shyster. What does my dad call him?
I don't know.
Von Reich.
Oh, yeah.
Von Reich, because he says he looks like Hitler. Literally. But hey, Steelers 5-2. Who would have thought? You finished this game and you told us one team was 5-2, one team's 2-5. Beginning of the year, you would have guessed it was opposite, but that's
not me.
Oh yeah, not
Mike
you.
Tomlin, I trust.
Let's talk about one other
ball coach.
Let's talk about one other big NFL topic before we go into good, bad, and the ugly. And
should we talk about how shitty the Giants are? Or what else were you talking about?
Oh, is that?
Oh no. Yeah, Chiefs.
That's
Niners?
what I'm going.
Oh yeah.
But we could.
And
hold on, wait. We could pivot and go to the Giants.
Question.
Danny Dimes.
No, well, we should. Yeah, Danny Dimes, true. But real quick, of course, we love Dimes here. This is a Dimes show. Big Dimes fans. Have they said, just touching in the Cowboys division, what's wrong with Jaden Daniels? Have they said?
I have not heard anything yet. I think. I think.
I mean, it looked like kind of a cracked rib situation, but I don't know.
I feel like they would have said.
And I think they were up. I think a lot of it had to do with.
They were playing the Commanders.
They won. The game was already over. So, why run them back out there?
Yep, I agree. They didn't. It says 19 hours ago he was to undergo more tests after the rib injury.
Got it.
It says 3 hours ago, injured Jaden Daniels, uncertain Commanders for this week's game against Caleb Williams. That would suck because that was going to be a fun game when I think the Commanders would have beat the shit out of them.
Yeah. And then staying in the division, Eagles-Giants. Obviously, Eagles beat the shit out of them 28-3, but the Eagles didn't. It was funny because they didn't look super impressive. They just handed the ball off. Credit to them. I mean, they beat the hell out of the Giants. The Giants are no good, but handed the ball off to Saquon Barkley, and he just torched his old team.
Yeah, he did. I want to come back to the Eagles when we get to the ugly in a second.
Yeah, but I mean, Dimes, they pulled Dimes and it was like 28-3 with 12 minutes left. And Dable's like, yeah, I mean, we had 97 yards all. We needed to do something. And then Locke came in and looked far worse than Danny Dimes. Not that it matters, and he went, but he just missed every little throw, and Danny was like, and Dable said, "Oh, Danny's our quarterback going forward, whatever that means." But I mean, they're a dumpster fire. Dable will get fired. They're not going to give him another year.
You don't think so?
No, God, no, not at this point.
I want to come back to that in a second.
Why?
Let's talk Chiefs Niners real quick. This is supposed to be the game of the day. It was a Super Bowl rematch. For I guess a chunk of the game, it was. I would say it was a close game for a while.
That was a weird game.
It was not a good game. Weirdly enough, you look at these stats, right? The two quarterbacks combined, they were 33 of 58, completed less than 57% of their passes for 366 yards, 5 interceptions, and 0 touchdowns. That was the combined stats of Purdy and Mahomes in that game. It was terrible quarterback play, if we're being honest. Now, Mahomes used his legs a couple times, and that was maybe the difference in them kind of getting the lead and extending and keeping the lead. But the interceptions were the story for me. Obviously, the Niners had a bunch of injuries. Juwan Jennings did not play. He's been really good for them receiving this year. Then you had Deebo Samuel. I don't really know what happened.
3 snaps he played.
I think he was sick. I think that's what it was. I think he was not feeling well. I think that's what they said.
What a pussy.
I don't know that that's true, but I think that's what it said. And then you have Brandon Ayuk, who was a bum in the game anyway and dropping passes, but he tore his ACL.
The big moment in that game was the drop, and then the punt return all the way back. I mean, that was like a 14-point swing probably.
Ayuk dropped a wide open pass when they were going in to score.
For 30 or 40 yards, like down probably.
They were going to be in scoring range, and then they punted from there. The Chiefs returned it 70 yards or 50 yards and ended up scoring a touchdown there. It flipped the whole game. But you also had listening to this, right? So even with those injuries, Purdy had all 3 of Purdy's picks came in KC territory. Another one of them came at the KC 5-yard line. So every single one of them gave up 49ers points, right? And the defense for the 49ers played better. Better than expected. They haven't been great this year.
I mean, shit, they held Patrick Mahomes for 16, 27, 154 yards and 2 picks. Yep. I mean, but that I think really shows you the problem for the rest of the league. I mean, Patrick Mahomes played like that. Now, given the 49ers had a lot of injuries, whatever. They were not 100%. But the score's really not even I mean, it was a fairly close game, but the Niners scored with basically no time left to get it to a 10-point game.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes played the worst possible game he could play, and they still won by 10 points.
Yeah.
Now, Purdy was not good either. I get that.
He was horrible.
I get that. But it's a real problem for the rest of the league when the Chiefs are 6-0. The defense is playing well. He doesn't have Rice or Pacheco. Kareem Hunt's filled in great. He's playing good ball. But it's like, who's going to beat the Chiefs?
The leading receiver receiver yesterday was Noah Gray.
Yeah,
Noah Gray with 4 receptions for 66 yards, and Travis Kelce 4 receptions for 17 yards. Those were the 2 guys who caught more than two balls yesterday.
And now, obviously, the Chiefs have played. They should have at least 2 losses, right? But they've played a lot of close games. But they just find that's what they do. It's championship pedigree. They find the way to win the games. I think that I don't know. I'm hard pressed to see anybody beat them again this year. I think they're going to three-peat.
I weirdly enough think that this
maybe
is the
the
year
Lions
don't. I think this is the year they don't win it all because
it just depends if they can get somewhat healthy. If they get healthy by the time the playoffs roll around, I mean, then they'll be fine.
They can only get so healthy. I mean, Rice is done for the year.
Is he done for the year?
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, he's done for the year.
I know he was IR. I just didn't know he was done for the year.
And then you have Pacheco, might come back later in the year. We don't know really what that injury is.
I mean, they did get Amari Cooper. We forget about that.
No, the Bills got Amari Cooper.
Sorry, not Amari. They did. Sorry. I was getting confused on who scored. Yeah, Amari Cooper scored for the Bills.
For the Bills.
We were watching both those. Well, that game was a little earlier. So they will trade for a receiver.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't trade for Amari Cooper. That was really weird to me.
They're going to get someone. I don't know who it's going to be. I guarantee you they were in talks of trying to get Amari Cooper. I don't know.
I was shocked that they didn't go get him. Amari Cooper looked great for the Bills yesterday.
I'm trying to think who they would go get. But
that's my point.
They will get.
Well, and they went out and got. So they said Hollywood Brown could be back for the playoffs, but you're throwing a guy in there who hadn't played all year. He is good enough to be like a good receiver for that group. But basically, all they have is Kelce and Worthy right now. Noah Gray stepped in yesterday. I get that, but they have no weapons. I don't know. They've definitely. I'm not. I mean, shitting on the Chiefs. They've beaten the Ravens, the Bengals, the Chargers, the 49ers. So they played good teams, right? But it remains to be seen. We'll see. It's so early in the year still, and I just don't know that this team has enough on the offensive end. Now, the defense is phenomenal. The defense is really, really good. But also yesterday, Brock Purdy just made some horrible decisions. And if he doesn't make those decisions, the 49ers are in the game and have a chance to win it. Multiple of those picks swung the game. Anyway, yeah, I'm worried. I guess I was going to ask you this, but I'll kind of bring up this point, which is I honestly am worried the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. Truly. I mean, they look horrible. What are they now, 3-4?
Yeah, I think they'll get in, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean they look like without McCaffrey, they look absolutely lost. The defense is not nearly as good this year, although they played good yesterday. Purdy looks like he has no idea what he's doing out there. He has not been good the entire season. They know they get I'll tell you what, this will tell us. They play the Cowboys at home this week. If that game is remotely close, or if the Cowboys win that game, it's full-on panic time for the 49ers. And I know they're probably not going to have a bunch of their weapons. But if they lose to the Dallas Cowboys at home, they lose that game, that's it. You can book them cooked. They are not going to the playoffs.
I mean, the thing is, it just depends when they can get McCaffrey back. I mean, once they get him back, he really is a game changer.
How can you expect a guy to come back and not get injured when you have two ankles with Achilles
I think it's going to be
tendonitis?
another month before they get him. But I think
I think when he comes back, he will rupture his Achilles. And I don't want to put that in the universe. I'm not saying that would suck, but I've seen too many guys with calf injuries have that happen. With guys who don't have any history of it have it happen at that age. It's just what happens. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about him. I am.
It definitely could happen.
He's been injury prone his whole career. It's just plain and simple what it is. Let's go to the good, bad, and the ugly for the NFL. And
you can go ahead.
We'll start in the good, and I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions, who I picked to beat the Vikings this week. And, Minnesota is one of the tougher places to play in the NFL. They were one of two undefeated teams left in the NFL going into this game. And, look, I've been critical of Jared Goff, and I don't love Goff, and I think he's a product of that offensive line being the best in football and them having a bunch of weapons, running the ball, receiving. But he's been really good this year, and he was great again yesterday. 22 of 25, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn it over, 87 QBR, played great. And to their credit, Montgomery, Wes just grunted over.
I forgot Wes is in here.
Yeah, she's been real quiet over here. But, look, they were up, I believe, 2 scores, kind of gave the game away when Montgomery fumbled the ball late, and the Vikings went in and scored and took the lead. And there was about a minute, 2 minutes to go, and they got the ball back, and Jared Goff led them down the field, easily put them in field goal range, 8 plays, 44 yards, took almost the entire time off the clock, and they kicked a game-winning 44-yard field goal, and they won the game. And the Lions look for real. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl in the NFC, and now, unfortunately, I picked them to play against the Bengals on the other side, and that doesn't look too good. But I think the Lions have a legitimate shot to win a Super Bowl. They look phenomenal. They were awesome yesterday. Their lone loss came at home against the Bucs week 2, a game they outgained the Bucs by 250 yards. So they very well could be undefeated here. That was a fluke game. Jared Goff was terrible in that game. They've looked like the best team in the league, I think.
The Chiefs have been finding ways to win, and the Lions have just been dismantling people. Lions look for sure like the best team in football right now.
Yep.
They're killing everybody, so... My first good, we've touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, leader of men. I mean, let's ride. We got Russell back, Russie cooking back there. I mean, my goodness. I'm not going to cap this team's win at 9 games. I mean, this is a team that can win 10, 11, 12, 13 games. I'm just kidding.
You are delusional.
But I do think they're going to win 9. Or actually, you know what? Since I'll stick with it, 8-8-1, because apparently that's the only way I'm getting credit from Dylan.
That's the only way you're getting credit.
Is if they go 8-8-1.
That's the only way you're getting full credit.
But no, they look pretty good last night. And the Jets don't look good, but I will say Russell Wilson looked way better than I thought he was going to be. Like when you look at the box score, he was pretty efficient, and that's even with the first couple throws, which were just horrible earlier on.
Booing him off the field.
He was getting booed, but
they were booing him off the field.
Yeah, he made Pickens made a couple big plays for him. So yeah. Anyway, they're actually running the ball okay now. I mean, I've never really liked Najee Harris, but they got Jalen Warren back and he's running it okay. So they look pretty good.
I wouldn't mind if Pittsburgh actually ended up winning 12 or 13 games, but I think there's a 0 shot that happens.
That's not
However,
happening.
What I am going to do is I'm going to clip you saying that as a short, and I'm not going to say the part where you're laughing and joking at the end, and we're going to have a nice little viral clip there.
This guy's an idiot.
Yeah. Let's see. My next good, weirdly enough, funny enough, and I know I was giving you shit for them, I actually had them in my good as well. I had the Steelers in my good. Mm-hmm. And I said I can't stand them, and I think they're going to have a losing record, but they're 5-2. Okay, my other good is going to be the Commanders, and I know they played the Panthers this week. Not impressive, right? But it's the way that they won the game, right? Like first off, the Panthers have not been good at all. They've been terrible. But since Andy Dalton took over as a starter, they've averaged 23 points per game. They've been better offensively at least, right? And yet yesterday, this defense for the Commanders, who hasn't looked great, has only been getting slowly better and better. It was a shutout until the last drive of the game, basically. Okay, it was 37-0 in this game. Also, Jaden Daniels goes down, right? And that's been kind of the feeling is, okay, this team looks really good. They're better, but Jaden Daniels is electric, and he's the reason why this team is winning. And he is a big reason why. But Mariota comes in, and they don't skip a beat. Again, Panthers.
Mariota's the man, that's why.
Panthers at home. I'm not acting like it's the craziest thing ever, but Mariota led them on 5 scoring drives, 3 for touchdowns. Commanders are 5-2. They're tied for the lead in the loss column with the Eagles in the NFC East. They look like the real deal, especially, you put that together with last week. They went to Baltimore. They hung with the Ravens for 60 minutes, had a legitimate shot to get the ball back with a chance to tie it late. I'm impressed with the Commanders. I really thought early on, 2-1, 3-1, I thought they were fraudulent. They're not. They're for real. They're a legitimate team. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs, assuming Jaden Daniels is not injured long term. And they're probably going to win that division the way the Eagles look lately. And the Cowboys and the Giants just write them off. So that's my good, Commanders. You have another good or no?
Yeah, my last good, obviously, Dougie Peterson and the Jaguars. I promised you people at home, I told you, there's 0% chance Dougie and the boys get beat twice in a row in London. It would never happen. Trevor Lawrence, what a player. Jaguars, what a team. They're rallying around Doug. They're going to come home, and I don't know if they'll win any more games, but they're coming home. And I wish they could stay over in London because they're just a different team over in London. But
they're coming home, and they're coming home with their coach still having a job for now. For now.
Dougie still got a job. Problem is they play the Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions, and Texans next. Yeah. So Dougie will not have a job for very long. That's a brutal stretch. My God.
Well,
Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions, Texans. If they got one win out of those, it would be a job well done. For Trevor
they got to play the Dolphins, Browns, Colts, Bears, and Patriots.
Oh my God, that's a tough schedule. Please.
They've won 2 games, so
please
let's not act like they're deserving
it's because
of an
the schedule.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to the bad. My first bad is going to be Kevin Stefanski. Touched on this earlier when we were talking about best thing with Jameis, but look, I praised him last year. He won Coach of the Year. He deserved to win Coach of the Year last year.
That was all Joe Flacco.
No, it wasn't.
All Flacco.
No, because they won games with
all Flacco.
Wrong. They won games with DTR. They run games with
I think they won
PJ
one. I think they won one with
PJ Walker.
PJ Walker's elite.
They won 4 combined games with those.
Does he have a job right now? If he doesn't, he should.
No.
He's a winner.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He won games with no quarterbacks, 5 different starting quarterbacks that year, and he deserved Coach of the Year. However, he has kept Deshaun Watson in through thick and thin. Now, that might be ownership. They paid him all that money. That might be him not wanting Deshaun, and they're saying, no, you have to start him. Fine. How on earth do you have 2 eyes and a brain and 2 nuts and look at the quarterbacks you have and say, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is better than Jameis Winston?
Disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Jameis is a leader of men,
He's a leader of men. Famous Jameis. But in all seriousness...
I mean, look at that guy on the screen right there. You can post that again. That's a man you want leading your franchise.
In all seriousness, though, he changed that. Jameis has been the backup the whole year. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Jameis, was caught smoking weed before the game or what. But it makes no sense that right before this game where a fluke crazy injury happens and Deshaun Watson ruptures his Achilles tendon, and somehow, some way, he had demoted Winston to the 3rd string and moved up Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And this is the game he gets hurt. And they put DTR in. And by the way, DTR had 7 drives. They did not score a single point. Not 1 point. Not one. He came in at the very end of the drive for Deshaun Watson. They scored a touchdown with Nick Chubb. Then they ended up not scoring for 7 consecutive drives. They take DTR out. They put Jameis Winston in. What happens on the very first drive? Score, get the 2-point conversion.
Oh, Jameis went in?
Yeah, he threw a touchdown.
What a player.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
He's starting next week, baby.
If they don't start him, Kevin Stefanski
Who are they playing?
Does deserve to be fired. They are playing, I wanted to say, played the...
I don't even need to know who they're playing. They're going to win next week.
You going to pick them on the Pick'em show?
Yes. Chubb and Jameis. I don't care if they're playing the Lions.
Playing the Ravens.
Yeah, please, win.
Ravens at home.
Easy win. Jameis and the boys, easy win. My first bad is the Houston Texans. Not a bad team performance, but Stroud was just not good. Didn't look like himself. 10 of 21, 86 yards, took 4 sacks. The Texans would have won the game if they just would have kept handing the ball to Joe Mixon, who had 25 carries for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. And
idiotic.
Just keep handing it to Joe. Big Dog's boy, Jordan Love, wasn't great either. Threw a couple picks. No one really deserved to win that game, but the Texans should have won it. They should have kept running the ball. And anyway, C.J. Stroud gets my bad this week.
10 for 21 for 86 yards.
It was a weird game. It's the Packers secondary is fine, but they're not 86. Probably what was going on, and I don't know this, but I'd have to look. Probably what's going on is they were doubling Diggs, and then they have a hodgepodge of like a receiving core out there right now, dude. There's really. No, with Nico Collins gone, Tank Dell was targeted 4 times, had 0 catches. It was an ugly day at the office.
Look,
for the
I
Texans.
get that.
Texans offense was ugly.
I get that, and I'm not saying Stroud is Patrick Mahomes, but look what Patrick Mahomes is dealing with. Look what Josh Allen's dealing with. Look what the best quarterbacks in the league, who people want to put CJ
but
Stroud.
Patrick Mahomes had a horrible game last night.
Yeah, but
he
I'm
threw
saying
106 yards and 2 picks. Stroud didn't turn over the ball. So as bad as it was, he didn't turn the ball over once.
But he threw for less than 100 yards. Like, I actually would say throwing for less than 100 yards is worse than throwing 2 picks. Like, in an NFL game,
turning the ball over.
NFL game,
a coach 100 times. If you told a coach, if you could have a quarterback threw for 160 yards and 2 interceptions, or you have a quarterback threw for 86 yards and no picks, he'd pick the guy with 86 yards and no picks 100 times out of 100.
I'm just saying, if you look at it, how many guys throw 2 interceptions in a game each year, as opposed to how many guys throw for less than 100 yards. There's probably like 2 or 3 performances all year where there's less than 100 yards.
Yeah,
probably
I get it.
30 times
I get
guys
it, but
throw 2 picks.
I get it. Listen, it was bad. He threw it. He didn't throw it a ton. He threw it 21 times. He only completed half of them. So he was bad. There's no doubt. And I like C.J. Stroud, but they should have just kept. I mean, dude, they did hand the ball off a lot. Mixon got it 25 times. So I mean, they were trying to. Obviously, the Packers were trying to take away the pass and not worry so much about the run. They're a bad rushing defense anyway. But yeah,
I don't know.
Texans were ugly. Still should have. The fact of the matter is, Stroud didn't turn over the ball, and like I said, he was bad. But they still should have won the game. So it's crazy they didn't.
I agree.
And what's his name? D'Amico playing conservative was really, really stupid at the end of the game too.
Yeah, no, I agree. D'Amico cost them that game, but I just want to say, you look at C.J. Stroud this year. The three games they've had against decent teams, they played the Vikings, they played the Bills, they played the Packers. In those 3 games, he's got 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and he's completing less than 60% of his passes, and he's got a QBR of 30.
Hasn't been good.
He's been bad against good teams this year. That's plain and simple. I think Stroud needs to play better for this team to go anywhere. I mean, he just has to. And I get it. I agree. You have Nico Collins out, but you didn't have nobody. You still have Stephon Diggs out there. You still have Tank Dell out there. You don't have nothing. You had Dalton Schultz.
Tank Dell is, yeah. Schultz had a couple catches. No, he should definitely be better than 86 yards.
That's significantly better weapons than Josh Allen has currently, than Mahomes has currently.
Josh Allen has better weapons at this point.
No, if you have Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz as opposed to a one rookie
now that
receiver,
he got Amari Cooper.
I would still say the Texans with Stephon Diggs, but it's close. It's close, but anyway, I think he needs to play better, and I don't think he's been very good this year.
He's not been good.
Okay, my other bad is going to be the little Madden puppeteer, who is just a kid playing video games, Mike McDaniel. Dolphins lose again. Had the ball in a tie game inside Colts territory, playing against Anthony Richardson, who was like 5 for 20 in the game, and finds a way to lose again. Look, I get it. You don't have your quarterback. You've tried all these different guys. They've won 1 game since this happened, and it was a tight game last week. Could they beat the Patriots? I mean, it's pathetic how bad he's been calling plays, how bad that offense has looked. His lack of, I guess, willingness to adapt his offense to who he has is ridiculous to me.
No, yeah, that is true.
You have Tyler Huntley, who is a RPO quarterback, who's not, and he's trying to run his regular offense with him. It's just absurd.
No,
and, it's just, what are you doing? You look at good coaches, like a guy I didn't really like, but that's a good coach, Matt LaFleur.
Yep.
He does the. What happened? Malik Willis. He didn't have a bye week. He goes out and he changes the offense to fit Malik Willis for 2 straight weeks. Does a great job, right? That's what good coaches do, okay? Mike McDaniel, not a good coach, all right? Plain and simple. He's not. He's not a good football coach. He might be a good play caller when he's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and a guy who can deliver the ball. He's not a good football coach. They not want a playoff game with him there. They're not going to win a playoff game with him there, okay? Nothing good will come with this team until you get rid of Tua and get rid of Mike McDaniel. You can do all the little scheming you want, Mike, okay? You beat one team with the winning record last year, and it was the bum-ass Dallas Cowboys. All right, you suck without a quarterback this year, all right, and you can't call plays for shit when you don't have your toys out there. Go home, smoke your weed vape, okay? Do whatever it is you do.
Oh, please, he doesn't do that. He's clean cut.
Do whatever it is you do, but NFL is not for you.
My second bad, Las Vegas Raiders settled for 5 field goals, including one when they were down 8 from the
Antonio Pierce,
from the 9-yard line. And they kicked it. But you know what Antonio Pierce decided?
How much time was left when he kicked that?
2 minutes, 46 seconds.
2 minutes, 46 seconds. They're down by 8.
He said, we're going to cover for the good people of Las Vegas. Very simple, plain and simple. Would they probably have gotten in from the 9? No. He said, you know what? We're going to make sure we cover for the people. We're going to kick it deep. And to be fair to him, they did get the ball back. But it was short-lived. I think Garner threw a pick because he's a gunslinger. Live by the sword, die by the sword, okay? Listen.
But they got the ball back on their own 5-yard line with no timeouts with 1 minute.
Yeah, good for Garner. You know,
4 picks.
3. Show some respect. 3 picks.
I thought it was 4.
And he lives in a van. So this $15 million or whatever he's getting, guaranteed, it's going to go a long way for Mr. Minshew. Happy for him. Raiders just need to keep losing.
They said Minshew, after that performance yesterday, has earned himself the starting job back. 0 touchdowns,
he
3
was
picks.
great. Well,
great.
And also,
look at Antonio Pierce making decisions.
Aiden O'Connell has out for 6 weeks, so that's why he's a starter.
Who's the 3rd string quarterback for them?
No idea.
Yeah, that's a. I don't know how they still have Max Crosby on their roster. You know who should go get him is the Lions. They need to go make a move with him.
No, they say they're going to do that, but I think they won a lot for Crosby, and the Lions aren't willing to give it up.
I mean, I would just go give it up at this point. I don't know what you're doing at this point. Your window is not very big.
Imagine Crosby and Hutchinson when he comes back next year on both sides of the ball.
Oh my gosh, it'd be
insane.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
All right, we'll go to the ugly.
Don't take the Giants from me. They're my ugly. Danny Dimes and the boys, 3 points.
Go ahead.
Danny Dimes and the boys, 3 points.
It wasn't Danny Dimes' fault. Whose fault was it?
Well, it's Dable's, but
Dable's fault.
Dimes isn't any good either. But it's just funny because every week we're like, well, is this Danny or is it just Dable being that bad? And it's definitely a combination of both.
No, they both just
but
suck.
He's definitely. If they give him another year after this, I get that the team's not good, but if they give him another year, it's just time to make a change. If you're the Giants, and I assume every Giants fan just about agrees with me. There's no way they're like, hey, you know what? Let's just get rid of Dimes and let's keep Dable for another year and see how it keeps. I don't think that's going to happen. I guess you got to just go try to get Ben Johnson, pay him whatever he wants. Go get a quarterback in the draft to pair with Neighbors, and then who knows? I mean, they could be scary.
I'm praying that Ben Johnson is smart enough to go to the Cowboys instead, because if Jerry fires Mike, which looks more and more likely each day.
Mike is not keeping his job next year.
Yeah, and so if you look at that and you think about it, okay, if you're Ben Johnson, he turned down a couple of jobs last year. Wasn't one of them the Commanders? Wasn't the Commanders? Didn't he turn down the Commanders? Which is crazy now when you look at this team. That was a big mistake.
Yeah, he's like, I wish I would have had Jay.
And now
he's kicking himself. Now, he could win a Super Bowl this year, obviously.
Sure, but it's different as a coordinator than.
And also, shout out Giants defense giving up 269 yards on the ground. 170. Saquon Barkley, 17 carries for 176 yards.
Holy
Getting
crap.
10 a pop.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
Yeah, and Saquon hadn't been good the last couple weeks. By the way, my fantasy team with an all-time performance, 57.9.
Oh, wow. Shit, I thought my team was bad, scoring 70-something. That's
Devontae
terrible.
Adams, 3. Tyreek Hill, 1. Tony Pollard, 6. Alvin Kamara 2, Matt Stafford 4, Kirk Cousins 9. Yeah, brilliant.
Bad. That's bad.
What a performance. The only guy who stepped up for me was Amari Cooper. Okay. My ugly is going to be Dennis Allen and the Saints. I picked him to be the first coach to be fired this year. Now, obviously, Robert Saleh ruined both of our picks, but I think that's garbage. That I would say we're going to keep our picks alive for who gets fired first, because that honestly wasn't. That was Aaron Rodgers getting him fired. Like, who would have expected them to fire Robert Saleh this year? But in terms of guys who actually deserve to be fired, it's between the two guys that we picked, which is you picked Doug Peterson, I picked Dennis Allen, and then Zach Taylor as well, you picked. But
yeah, the Bengals now at this point are,
they're probably not going to fire him. But
I wouldn't think they would. And mainly, I come to think of that too, is because the owner has no money, so
he just doesn't care.
He's not paying a buyout.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, there's no way.
That's why they didn't fire the DC either.
I think that's exactly why. I was like, I'm going to let him figure it out.
But this Saints team quit on Dennis Allen on national television on Thursday night. They were talking about it at halftime. Literally, they were talking about it at halftime. I understand. You have a backup quarterback, Spencer Rattler, in there, who's terrible, right? Rookie quarterback, 5th-round draft pick. Guy, was so bad for 1 year in college that he lost his job. He was projected to be the number 1 overall pick going into that year if he just had a decent year, and he was so bad he lost his job and had to transfer. But look, this is a crazy stat. The offense in the first 2 weeks, they were 2-0. They were 2-0 through 2 weeks. They were the talk of the NFL. Scored 92 points combined in the first 2 weeks.
It seemed like they scored 92 on the Cowboys.
That basically did. The last 5 games combined, 86. They scored less games in the last 5 games combined than they scored in the first 2 total.
The problem with them firing him, and I agree with you, he deserves to be fired, but I just don't think it's going to happen. First of all, because there's a woman owner there and she doesn't care. She's going to try to get through the end of the season. Rest in peace, Tom Benson, San Antonio man. Tried to boo the Saints here, but now his second, third wife, I don't know, owns a team. The Saints and the Pelicans. She's just going to let it ride. And to be honest with you, this is what I think. I think they need to lose. They're in the position where they just need to lose as many games as possible because they need to try to take a quarterback. I don't know who it's going to be, but they're ready. I mean, they're moving on from Derek Carr.
That's why you fire him. Because
it's just not going to happen.
But I'm just saying.
Is this the last year of his deal?
I'm not sure. I'll look, but what I'm saying is I agree with your point. But and this is my issue. I guess it's hard no matter what you do, right? But if you have a guy who you don't want to keep, but you need a tank, if you don't fire him, he's going to do everything he can to win, thinking that he's going to keep his job if he wins. And so you're doing the exact opposite of what you want. However, if I think about it,
shout out Lovie Smith.
Yeah,
he did the same thing for the Texans, and guess what? Instead of having Bryce Young, we have C.J. Stroud now, all because of Lovie.
That's right.
and going for 2 in the win.
Lovie,
the greatest thing ever.
Lovie tried forever to win games and lost. And then he tried one time to screw the Texans, and he screwed himself, and the Texans got C.J. Stroud. Yep. So thank you, Lovie Smith.
I remember when they scored, I was like, they better send that kid out there for the extra point, miss it on purpose. And of course, they went for 2 and got it.
And he was laughing on the sideline. Yeah. Who's laughing now, bitch?
Lovie wins games, baby.
That's right. No, but in all seriousness,
that's why Dennis Allen's such a good coach. He went to Texas A&M.
Oh, there you go. No wonder. The Aggies, the worst schedule in college football history.
Mike Elko's
an idiot. What a dumbass.
My God,
my gosh. Mike Elko is a moron.
He builds defenses, sir.
Yeah, real good. Give up 30 points to Mississippi State this week. That was a great defensive performance.
How many points did Georgia give up to him?
I have no idea. Georgia's
24.
defense is not very good.
Oh, I'd say that. Tell that to Texas.
Yeah, they looked horrible this week. But I'm just saying, Georgia's defense gave up 28 points in the first quarter to Alabama.
Yeah, but then they
Georgia's defense has been torched by everybody but Texas.
Yeah.
They have. They've been torched by everyone but Texas and Kentucky.
Texas
is in trouble, but we'll get to that in a second. But in all seriousness, they need to fire Dennis Allen. I agree with you. They should be losing and tanking for a quarterback. They're probably not going to do it. Funny enough, it was pretty hilarious how, did you see the Saints call timeout at the end of the half to take a knee? That was the funniest part of the whole game. There was 4 seconds to go. They completed a ball to their own 37-yard line. Dennis Allen called timeout with 4 seconds to go in the first half, and then took a knee. It was so funny. It was actually the.
I don't know what's worse than that. That or Brian Dable calling timeout down 25 with a minute 30 left.
Oh, he called it all his timeouts,
trying to get it back and then roughing the punter. I was like, that's the most New York Giant thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The guy fucking smoked the punter. If I was Dable, I'd be like, you go in there and submarine his legs. You fuck up their punter. All right, we may not won the war, but we're gonna win the battle right here. We're gonna injure their punter for the rest of the year. My brother was saying that. My brother, when we were watching the UT game, was like, just so funny. Where he's like, you know, late 90s, early 2000s football mentality. And by the way, both of them were, shout out Jeremiah and Trey, losing their mind with the targetings. I literally thought both of them were going to have a heart attack. They can't handle it. Jeremiah's had a rant that you can't say online that is going to be, he's like, he claims he's done watching football, which I don't believe. But Trey was like, you know what? This Beck kid, he's not playing great, but he's the leader of the team. Someone just needs someone needs to break his leg. Like in this kind of game, it's like you need to submarine him and just take him out of the game. And I was like, dude, like he's like, no, man, it's football. You know, it's where you win at all costs. I was like, all right, man.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well,
and also I don't know.
That's why, in his words, you're a pussy. You're not a win at all costs kind of guy.
Are you a pussy too?
Yeah.
Because,
okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, right. I don't think you should do that. But
yeah, there you go.
But like I said, but the targeting has gotten out of hand, especially,
I agree with
especially with people like you and Sark are calling timeout, screaming, "Throw another flag! That's targeting! My God, it's assault! That's assault!" When the guy was running and Sark was trying to get the call,
it was targeting.
And now he was a ball carrier. Let the boys play.
He dropped his whole head here.
Oh, please.
I mean, I'm just saying, look, if we're going to have the rule and make it this is the definition of targeting, then why?
They should just let anything go.
Look, I actually think, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about targeting, but I think this.
We should just move. Are we
based
done with
on the rule, of course, I want to have that. But what I think is, in my opinion, it should literally have to be the old, like, it's got to be helmet to helmet, and he has to be a defenseless receiver. Yeah, otherwise, it should be nothing. I actually believe that. I agree
with that. I agree with that take because it's like they do need it in the sense where someone's coming across the middle and someone decapitates them. Because that's the way Trey wants to play football. It's like, dude, just take the 15 yards and hurt their best player. They used to do that back in the day. So now you get kicked out. But yeah, the whole hits on the quarterback are ball carry, hits on a ball carrier. They got to get rid of it.
They got to get rid of it.
Figure something out.
Roughing the passer.
And
too.
Jeremiah's right. It's like, look at the list of the criteria for targeting.
It's crazy.
It's like there's like 14 different points where head or neck. Yeah. But if it's a ball carrier, it's defensive. If it's quarterback, it's like
unbelievable.
It's a joke.
No, I agree. I mean, you just can't do anything.
I don't have any more ugly, so it's up. If you got one more,
I got one more.
We'll move to
Jalen Hurts.
It's called game management.
Really?
10 of 14.
Oh yeah. What really? What
when
were you
run it for 173 yards?
What?
With one back, you don't have to throw it.
Yeah. What were you saying yesterday in the playroom about Jalen Hurts?
That he's a fucking phony, which is true.
Quote unquote.
But he's not ugly.
Quote unquote. He fucking sucks.
He does.
He's fucking horrible.
Unless they use him like when they went to the Super Bowl, where he's running 15 times a game, he sucks. Now they only use him for the fucking tush push. But if I don't know what they're trying to protect him for. Just let him go out there and run like you almost won the Super Bowl. The Eagles with Saquon, if they get back to letting him run the ball 15 times a game, would be a problem for anybody, but they don't do it.
But he believes that he is a quarterback. That's the problem.
Yeah, he
doesn't want to run 20 times a game.
He's Dan Marino back there.
It's the same thing as Anthony Richardson. You're not a quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not a quarterback.
Anthony Richardson, to be effective, needs to run the ball 20 times a game.
Yeah.
And if he did that, he would be really hard to stop, too. Now, he would miss all the easy throws, of course, but there would be guys, I mean, he would hit some of them, and he's an incredible runner downhill. I mean, you just run him until he gets hurt.
He looks like he's doing jujitsu after he gets hit sometimes. He hops up like a crazy person.
He's a freak.
He's a freak athlete. He just can't throw the ball. Yeah. But neither can Jalen Hurts. One read Jalen. And you have Kellen Moore's bum ass back there calling plays.
That's a problem.
Jalen Hurts over here trying to check the play like he's Tom Brady at the line every play. It's absurd. And the most frustrating thing ever is the fantasy football impact of it. And the statistical impact of it. Even in the Super Bowl, like people like my dad who like him are like, oh my gosh, look at his stats. He had 3 rushing touchdowns in the Super Bowl. They're all from 1 yard. Because in the last in the time since it has started, Jalen Hurts has scored on 24 tush pushes. 24 tush pushes. That's crazy. He's scoring a tush push a game, a touchdown a game, getting pushed in the end zone. When are we going to get rid of this bullshit? Jalen Hurts is terrible. Football. He's terrible as a quarterback. He's thrown 19 interceptions and fumbled it 5 times since the start of last year. He's averaging over a turnover per game. That's top in the league. He sucks. He can't throw the ball. He can't read a defense. All he does is turn the ball over. You're right. Unless they run him 20 times a game, he's worthless. The Eagles have no shot to win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts unless they run him 15 to 20 times a game. Plain and simple. And Eagles fans shouldn't be mad about that. They should agree with me. Because if you're watching that guy throw the ball and drop back 35 times to throw the ball, that's a problem. That's a problem. He was 10 of 14 yesterday. That's about how many times he should throw the ball. But he should run it another 15.
Yeah, he just didn't. Yesterday he didn't have to because they dominated. But I agree. He needs to run it more.
Sucks. All right. It's about that time. About that time.
WNBA or not?
That's right.
Oh, sweet.
It's about that time.
It's time to play WNBA or not.
What did I do last week? It was 2 for 5, right?
Right. 2 for 5.
It's all right. I've dominated this game over the years.
You went 5 for 5, 3 for 5, 2 for 5. So you have been going downhill. If you go 1 for 5.
So I'm 10 of my last 15.
Yeah. All right. It is time for WNBA or not.
As the greatest game played on the internet.
The greatest game ever invented. We're here. It's time. If I can get this to load. All right. Number 1.
Shout out New York Liberty. What a team. What a season.
How dare you.
What a team. What a season.
You're such a troll.
Oh, God.
All right. And we're starting off with a bang here.
Zoom in. Do I have 2 pics? I got to ask. Do I have 1 or 2 pictures?
There's only 1 on here with 2 pictures. This is 1. It was a late last night.
Looks like a little Bow Wow. Zoom in. Is that as much zoom as we got? Okay. Okay.
You want me to scroll down?
No. Like, no. Just not that far zoom, but just, Okay.
Wait, like this far?
Yeah. Oh, crazy eyes.
Modern technology is great. You got painted nails. I'm showing you some detail. Oh, he's thinking
Scroll
too
down.
much. He's thinking too much.
Cut off the shoes.
No,
That is a WNBA player.
1 for 1. Got the first one. Good start.
Westbrook, we did it. Look how excited Westbrook is.
Yeah, Wes is hyped
1 for 1, Wes.
She got up. She was all.
There was just a lot of work that went into that one. She was on some kind of WNBA bullshit. Like, it was like All-Star Weekend, and then you put her in front of like some weird deal.
I don't even know how I got this picture, but you're actually. I think you might be right. That might actually be exactly what it was. I did cut her out.
Seems like some kind of weird, some award show.
I was thinking you would think, okay, she's at an actress at an award show, and I had to cut her out. That's what
I knew that was what you were going to be thinking.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay, you were a step ahead of me.
I was that one. I was about to say that's an actress, but I was like, man, I've never seen that bitch in anything. Let me say, little Bow Wow playing the WNBA.
I almost got him there. Okay, this glare on the TV is hurting me. Okay, number 2. We're gonna go to number 2. Number 2, and there's only 1 picture here as well. Number 2. Haley, can you see it?
Scroll down. What that is? Hey, Westbrook, how are you, sweetheart? See, oh God, you know what? I think you went. I'm in his head today. That's a WNBA player.
Yes, let's go. That's not a WNBA player.
It's an actress?
Yes, it's an actress. He thought he had me.
Oh!
He thought he had me right where he wanted him.
Funny enough.
Not so fast, my friend.
First glance, I was like, that's an actress. It's not a WNBA player. Then I was like, I think he's going to go back to back. Okay, who is that?
I flipped a coin, and I didn't tell you this time that I flipped a coin again.
Okay.
Well, now I did.
All right.
Now you know. So that is... I actually need to pull up her name.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Not a WNBA player.
Is that it? Io Idaberry, actress. She's on The Bear.
I haven't seen it. Here,
The
it's a
Bear's
great
good
show.
Little show. I've only seen the first season, but it's good. She's okay. I think she won an Emmy for it. Okay, you are 1 for 2. It was a good start. Okay, this third one does have two options here. So here's number one.
Okay, nothing like a gas station selfie. This is interesting. I believe she is in Mexico there. Scroll on to the price. Scroll into the price here. Zoom in. Does it say 139 pesos? Yeah, there's no dot. She is in Mexico.
It's Tijuana.
That is a WNBA player on vacation in Mexico.
Okay,
yes.
yeah. That is correct. You got that one. That's 2 for 3. That's a good. I don't know. I was going to give you a second picture.
Oh, yeah, let's just see the second one, but I didn't want to overthink it.
I was hoping the second picture would confuse you.
Yeah, no. See, sometimes you just got to go quick. Yeah, that would have been like, it seems like something that would be, like an actress and something, but okay. All right, nailed it.
Okay, you're 2 for 3. This is a big one. Can you seal the positive, or are we going to come down to the last one again? Son of a bitch. I just gave you the answer to that one. Okay, hold on. We're going to go to... Nay, would you have gotten that?
I probably, being honest to God, looking at the picture, I probably would have said WNBA player.
Fuck.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm so mad at myself.
Did you have 2 pictures or only one?
I had one picture.
I'd probably give myself credit for that one. But Zoom in, let me see. Let's see. I think I would have gotten it, but yeah, I would have gone WNBA player here. Let's just go to the last one.
Here's
anyway,
what we're going to do. I'm going to go to the last one. If you get it right, we won't do another one.
Okay.
If you get it wrong, I'm going to have to find a picture of somebody real quick and give you a 5th one for the people.
Okay.
All right, last one. Is a WNBA player or not?
Is this one picture?
Yeah, that's all I got. Just want you to keep in mind that I flipped a coin, so this could be anything. This could be yes, it could be no. It doesn't matter. You let the coin decide, and then you go from there.
Zoom in. I need to look into her eyes and see if she's a WNBA player. Got a lot of crazy in those eyes. Not a WNBA player.
You got it. That's 3 for 5. Well, 3 for 4. I'll give him 4 for 5. He's not perfect.
No, we say 3 for 4.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. 3,
regardless, it would have been positive. It wasn't going to be perfect.
You won. It wasn't perfect, and you won. So we don't have to get a 5th one. This is it's a Texas Longhorn softball player.
Okay.
Her name is Lou Gilbert.
Got it.
Texas softball.
Shout out Lou. Not
Lou.
A WNBA player.
My apologies at home to the people for messing up number 4. But we got it done. Turner did get it right.
I'm dominated.
He got 3 for 4. I hand it to him.
Dominant performance.
Lazy work by me. I can't believe he got 3 out of 4. Bullshit. All right, we're gonna move on. I'm disappointed with myself. Let's go to.
I think doing it with the coin is the way to go because you could have 5 in a row, or
exactly.
0. Yeah,
I've happened to get 3-2 each time, but at one point it's going to get all 5, and I'm going to get you on that one.
No, for sure.
I just got to time it right. Okay, college football. We got to move on. We're going to start with the top topic, which is my Texas Longhorns. And look, Texas played Georgia, number 1 Longhorns, right? You had game day coming to Austin, Texas. Okay? Texas ranked number 1 with game day there for the first time in 2 decades. All the momentum in the world. Just beat your rival Oklahoma by 30. You're undefeated. You're the number 1 team in the country. For years, we've heard all this bullshit, and I'm not one to buy into the bullshit for Texas. We've heard all this BS. Texas is back, folks, forever. Okay? But this time it actually felt real. This time it felt real going into this game. I truly believe that going into this game, that Texas was the best team in the country. I did. Thought they were the best defense in the country. Still believe that. And I thought this was the team, this was our year to win the national title. And you have this incredible opportunity, right? Because you're going from the Big 12 to the SEC. You're playing the king of college football for the last 5 years, right? 48-3 since 2021.
Kirby.
Back-to-back national titles. Kirby Smart.
Kirby and the boys.
You have them coming in. They're as down as they've been in the last half decade, right? They're as down as they've been, okay? And they come in, and you have this opportunity to show this is the changing of the guard. You are the new power in the SEC. Doesn't matter what conference you're in. You're here to win championships. And what happens? You lay an absolute egg. You take a massive shit down your leg, mainly Steve Sarkisian, and Quinn Ewers. And I'm going to show you a little picture because this is what I felt like watching the game. Okay, this is exactly what I felt like
actually pretty funny.
Watching the game. Okay? That is what I felt like. Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian, dumb and dumber. Dumb and dumber. Okay? And you can see Quinn Ewers in this game turned into this man. That's Quinn Ewers.
Joe Exotic, baby.
Quinn Ewers turned into Joe Exotic versus Georgia.
You got to love Joe.
Okay?
Damn you, Carol Baskins.
But in all seriousness.
I'm going to get you, Carol.
In all seriousness, though, this was really disappointing.
Yeah, it was.
It was disappointing. I mean, look.
I mean, obviously I was rooting for Texas, but I was like somewhat of a neutral, and I was disappointed. Like when it was 23-0, I was like, this sucks. I was like, oh, Texas scores right away, which they did. I mean,
they made it
at least it made it fun second half. But yeah, they just got whipped at the line of scrimmage, dude. That was pretty much it. I still with you. I still think Texas defense is best in the country. Offense just didn't look good, but I'm still not like, completely thinking Texas is dead either. They could easily get in the playoff and they could easily still win the SEC.
They're going to get in the playoff, I think. I just don't think they're going to win the SEC, and I don't think they're going to have any shot to win a national title. I want your opinion, okay? Well, first of all, I guess you just gave me your I was going to ask you what's your take.
Yeah, I just think that they got whipped at the line of scrimmage. Offensive line, they have a fucking left tackle. Texas is supposed to be, what did they say, top 10 pick in the draft, getting whipped all night. I mean, it was just that simple.
It was the right tackle too.
It was both of them. And then both. I mean, don't get me wrong, the offensive lineman, even when the announcers are making a point where like this is that's actually a backup. It's like, look, the guy was probably a 5-star recruit. Okay, he plays defensive line at Georgia. One of them. Is it number 11 that's so good for them? That
really
was
good.
obviously him.
Mikhail Williams.
Yeah, he left the game very briefly, and that other guy came in and got a sack.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh my God, that's a back." I was like, I guarantee you that guy's gonna be a first-round pick too.
Yeah,
so it's not like that big of a, Georgia's just loaded. That's the thing about them. They have so much depth. Defensive line's great. I still, like I said, I love the way Texas defense played. They
awesome.
Yeah, they were great. They the one thing going back, and we talked about it, and we're not going to spend all day on this game, but it's like, to me, when they cut it to 8 and they had them 3rd and 10 from the 10, chose to bring 3 guys and gave up that if they stopped them there and force a punt, I would assume Texas. Who knows? But with all the momentum, probably going to get the ball close to midfield. I think they're going to go down and score again. Then it's anybody's game.
It's a coin flip.
But they give up 21 and then 42, and that pretty much.
Those 2 plays, they gave up. They rushed 3, gave up that 3rd down and 9 from their own. From Georgia was on their own 11-yard line, and then the next play they ran a double reverse pass.
Yeah.
Hit Oscar Delp down the sideline those 2 plays went for 65 yards.
And one last quick take too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, they obviously got that pass interference call wrong. It sets a really bad precedent that you're throwing water bottles and they change the call, right? It's kind of scary in the sense that, like, I know that you were happy they changed the call, and, like, obviously as a neutral, it's like, don't want them throwing stuff on the field. Obviously, my brother said it's the pussy generation throwing, something going to go their way, so they start throwing water bottles. But he agreed that obviously it was the wrong call. So actually, the one thing I was to prevent things like this from happening, because that's such a big deal, I think, and it's not going to happen. But if you were able to review a penalty only on a turnover, so it's an interception, right?
Yeah.
But they called pass interference. Like, since it's a turnover in the NFL, they review all turnovers.
Yeah.
Why not say, hey, if it's that bad, they would have said, hey, the previous play is under further review, and looked at it and say, hey, that's not pass interference. It is a pick. And I'm not saying all penalties, because obviously that would slow the game down. But just if there's a penalty on a turnover, because a turnover is such a huge play in a football game.
Yeah.
It could be bigger than a touchdown, really, depending on, it's basically a 14-point swing.
Yeah.
It was in that case.
It was a
that
14-point swing.
So I give the option to prevent, mutinies from student section again, like, losing their minds, essentially. Don't agree with the water bottles. Obviously, they got together and got the call right. It was a bad call, but
it was an egregious.
Yeah, but I think that solves that issue. Is like, if it's only on a turnover. So if it's like pass interference and the guy picks the ball off, say, hey, we're gonna look at now. It's got to be a brutal miss, right? And that's where They got in
Yeah,
the NFL. That's why it's a slippery slope, and they'll never do it because, like, in the NFL,
They tried doing the PI thing, and
it
it was
like
just like
only blatant PI gets overturned.
They used like the burden of proof in the fucking OJ case. It was like, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Like,
so I don't know.
Somebody.
I was just
basically
trying to think of some ideas to prevent something like that from happening because you really can't. I mean, the fact that they picked that up after a commercial break was unprecedented too.
It wasn't. I don't think it was a commercial break, but it was. But it was like
they were just throwing bottles, and then
they had to stop the game.
Got it.
Now,
because I saw the highlight from it, I didn't know. Yeah, obviously, when a commercial break because they kept the ball. But,
but I do want to talk about that for a second, real quick, because it is interesting because it 100%. You're right. Everything you said is spot on. They should not have picked the flag up based on the rule, right? Like, you're not allowed to do that, no matter what. And I'm a Texas fan, and I was livid. I was livid that they made that call. And Matt Austin came on, the rules official, and he was pretty fair the whole way. Like, there was a touchdown earlier in the game or later in the game when Texas ended up getting them into like a 4th and goal. Remember that? It was on that same drive they got them to a 4th and goal.
I was shocked they went for that.
I know, I couldn't believe it. But
I guess people just do that these days, but it's just, to me, like, in that kind of game, why would you not?
No,
the only thing that keeps Texas in it is you not scoring there. If you go 2 scores, you're going to win the game. So what's the difference between a touchdown or
it doesn't matter. And you're up 8-2.
Because he got in on that play, too. I saw that Matt Austin said the same thing. It's like, oh, it's a touchdown.
Right.
Yeah.
But my point being, Matt Austin in every part of that game was pretty fair.
Yeah.
And what he said was, look, what happened more than likely was they were going to discuss this, and somebody stepped up and had the guts to say that was a terrible call. The problem with that, and Matt was saying that. So, like, my point being is, like, he felt, a rules guy, a former official, felt it was such an egregious call that they got it right in the sense that they picked it up. However, I will say this. If they had a discussion, if they were like, after discussion, there is no penalty, that's not what happened, because they came out and said pass interference on the defense, threw the flag. That's why everybody threw stuff on the field. And then they said, you pick up the flag. If you pick up a flag, you wouldn't rule it pass interference first. And everybody I've heard said the same thing. They got the call right, but you don't do that. Get it. Agree, for sure. I like your idea of being able to review turnovers.
But if they don't throw the water bottles.
That's what I said.
Hot take. If they don't throw the water bottles, they never pick up the flag.
That's literally a fact. They would never have picked up the flag.
Listen, I don't want my brothers on my case. I don't agree with them throwing the water bottles. But if they did not throw them, they absolutely are not picking up that flag.
100%.
I don't think I've ever seen, I've seen a couple flags be picked up where someone throws it and the other guy doesn't. He runs in right away and go, what did you see? Because I didn't see it. I saw hand fighting from both sides or whatever. But from my understanding, that's not what happened. It was like they called the penalty and then they started slinging shit on the field. Because I was looking at the game cast at that point. Then I saw the highlight, but I started slinging stuff on the field. And they were like, okay, actually, no, it wasn't. It's Texas ball. And when you texted me that, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? You're like, they picked it up. It's Texas ball. I was like, what the fuck? And I hit the game cast and it was like, Texas had already scored.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what on earth?
What literally happened was, I think they realized this is the biggest game of the year. That might determine the outcome of this game. Not necessarily one way or the other, but it ends the game by calling the penalty. We missed so bad, and we got people throwing shit on the field. We're going to look like such idiots. And I do think that they would have gotten more heat for not throwing that flag and that not getting called than what ended up happening. I think they would have gotten more heat for it from Texas fans than what, because again, I agree with everything you said. That should not have been picked up, but it was crazy. And you're right. If they don't throw that stuff on the field, and I was sitting there watching it with Jonathan, he's like, they might review this and like pick it up. I go, no, dude, they can't. Like, he doesn't watch a ton of football. I'm like, they can't review anything. Yeah. Like, they can't pick the flag up. He's like, well, they're talking about something.
When you said it, I was like, wait a second. They were like, they picked it up. I was like, how the hell did they do that? But you and me probably would have been saying the same thing. If they're throwing bottles on the field and they're gathering, it's like, hey, that's penalty. Another 15-yard penalty.
That's exactly what I said. I said, no, they're determining whether they're going to throw a flag on Texas for throwing stuff on the field. That's what Kirk then said right after I said that. and then they pick up the flag. It was nuts. But real quick, back to Texas. Their defense, okay? So Georgia scored 17 points off turnovers, directly off turnovers. They had, if you include another one where Quinn was sacked at the 1-yard line, and then they punted from their own 1-yard line, and Georgia started the drive on the 30-yard line or the 25. That's essentially 24. That's essentially 24
Texas
points.
needs a new punter. Holy shit!
He's their backup. They got their starter got hurt.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
because
horrible.
Me and my brother, when we were watching that, I go, "What the hell is the deal with Texas's punter?" So that's good info, so they'll know. Because they were like, Trey was like, "This is the worst college football punter I've ever seen in my life."
So bad for Texas.
God love him. He'd get it off, and I'd be like, "That's a 35-yard kick."
It's real bad.
I go, "I've had 6 beers, but I'm pretty sure my fat ass could get out of this chair and give it close to that. You know, might pull a hammy or something."
37 yards
anyway,
for sure.
It was bad.
But their four of their 5 scoring drives went 4 plays, 13 yards, 7 plays, 13 yards, 7 plays, 25 yards, 4 plays, 4 yards. So they didn't move the ball at all. They had a total offense of less than 300 yards in the game. They had less yards per play than Texas, 4.1 yards per play, 4.5 yards per pass. Carson Beck was 17 of 31 for under 200 yards and 3 interceptions and no touchdowns. He was terrible in the game.
Texas, I mean, literally had their way with that. I mean, they pretty much stymied Georgia. It was just the turnovers that did Texas in for sure.
I know we're spending a lot of time on this. I know Texas is my team. It is definitely the biggest topic. I want one last take from you on this. I want to quickly discuss this. They pulled Quinn Ewers because he was so bad. This is, to me, the biggest topic for Texas football going forward. They pulled Quinn Ewers in the first half. Sark said it was to calm him down. It wasn't. He was that bad. He was that atrocious. Should have pulled him actually the possession before, like you said, before he threw the pick. They put Arch in. Arch didn't do anything great in his 2 drives, but you're throwing him in cold off the bench. Hadn't played in a month. He's a second-year player who hadn't played much football. And in his 2 drives, he still had more yards in his 2 drives, more positive yards in those 2 drives than Quinn had in his first 5 combined. So you throw Arch in there. Yeah, he fumbled. It really wasn't his fault. He had a really good scramble for like 30 yards. You know, I just think, to me, and you tell me, I want to know your honest thoughts unbiasedly. I do not believe Texas has any shot to win a national title with Quinn Ewers. I think it's a 0.0% chance. And I'm not shitting on him as a person, right? Like, whatever. He's probably a nice kid. He's not a good football player, okay? He's gotten worse this year than he was last year.
I think,
and he sucked in big games.
I think, he hasn't been great in big games. I still think they have a chance to win the national championship with him, just because I think the defense is the best in the country. That's just the way I feel.
If he plays like he did the last 2 games, can they win anything?
Well, no. If he plays like that, he's got to play better for sure. But you keep in mind he was out a couple games. Listen, I'm not for pulling quarterbacks typically, but I would have pulled him quicker than Sark did, and I'm usually not that guy. But I was like, look, at this point, it's 17-0. They have to try. Or it was like 20-0. I think it was 17 at that point.
It was 20.
But I was like, whatever. I was like, they have to try something. And Arch gives you the dynamic with his legs.
Yep.
That's the only reason why I would say that Quinn has more experience. Obviously, I know you don't really care about that. The only reason I would say that I do think they have a slightly better chance winning the national championship with Arch, if you just put him in from this point on, is because of his legs. Because he can, he's
an unbelievable athlete,
deceivingly fast when he gets in the open field. I worry about Texas. You know, look, Vanderbilt. I know that's Bailey's team. It's going to be. I think that could be potentially a good game. I think Texas finds a way to win that. But the issue is they have got to find a way to win the next 4 games before they play Texas A&M. Because if not, I know you're not high on the Aggies. The defense is playing pretty well for Texas A&M. That place is going to be absolutely rocking at night on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Not to say they're going to be favored in the game, and I would expect them to win a close game. But you really need to make sure that you don't slip up one of these next 4 games, because then if you go play that game in A&M and lose, right? And I don't think they necessarily will. But if they do lose and A&M only has 2 losses to Texas's 3, then what's going to happen? You know what I mean? I know Texas A&M hadn't played, like you said, a great schedule, but if they have a head-to-head win against Texas at home, they're going to obviously put them in. So I think it's really important for Texas to win the next 4 games and take care of business before they get there. And obviously, if they do that, no matter what, they're in the playoff. But yeah, I mean, I get your beef with Quinn. He hasn't been good the last 2 games. Do I think they can still win the national championship with him? I do, just because I think their defense is so good.
Yeah.
I mean, they just look. Texas just did not play well. They were sleepwalking the first. I mean, the defense played great. They picked them off 2 times. So, and they just couldn't. The offense couldn't do anything with the ball. But when you're up in the first quarter in the turnover battle 2-0, you can't not have a lead at home. So
yeah, no, I completely agree.
We'll see what happens going forward. But I don't necessarily, I guess to answer your question, think one over the other gives them that much of a greater chance to win the national championship. I'm with you. I would probably go Manning from this point on, just thinking, hey, he's only going to get better going into the playoff, and you can use his legs at that point. Quinn can't run very well.
No, I completely agree. He's not mobile. Here, and we can move on from this. I would go Arch. Plain and simple, I think Arch right now and Quinn are pretty close. If you give Arch the next 5 games, he's going to get better and better.
I think Sarkisian would say the exact same thing. I think they are almost even at this point. And if you play him those games, he's going to get better and better.
Yeah.
I just worry. I mean, do you think Texas gets into the playoff with 3 losses anyway?
Probably.
I would think so, but I mean, who knows? Like I said, you're going to be the 11th seed playing on the road the first game. And plus, honestly, here's the thing, dude, and I honestly believe this. I know. You know me. I'm pretty pessimistic about my teams, right? Like I'm not the guy who's like the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl every year, or the Longhorns are going to win the national title every year. I really thought they were going to win the national title this year. After watching what Georgia did to them and how bad Georgia looked defensively before that game, I really don't think Texas can win a national title anyway. Got it.
And so to me, I'm thinking if we're going to lose 3 games, I don't really care. Like last year, I really thought we could win last year because Quinn was playing good. And I was like, man, I really think with our receivers and Worthy and all of that, but this year I just don't think we can win. Like, and especially when a 12-team playoff.
The only thing I'd argue is I agree on the offensive side of the ball, but I would say the defense is way better.
Oh, way better.
So I don't know. To me, they're just they're the best. They're the best defense. So
look, if Quinn figures it out, or if they go to Arch and Arch gets better and they get hot at the right time, for sure. They could still win it all. But I do think also, I'm so annoyed that A&M's schedule. I have a bet. I have a bet on LSU under 9.5 wins, and having LSU lose this week to A&M is big for that bet, and I'm absolutely diehard rooting for LSU to beat A&M this week.
Funny.
I can't stand...
Haters going to hate.
Elko,
great defense.
They've played... You even said how bad Missouri is. That's the only decent team they've played this year that they've beaten. The only decent team. And they're horrible. They're horrible. They haven't played a soul, and I don't think LSU's very good either. And then I think A&M loses this week to LSU, and I think they lose the next week to South Carolina. I think they lose back-to-back weeks.
South Carolina's playing some good ball.
They're playing some real good ball. We're going to get back to them in a second. All right, let's move on, though, to Miami, Louisville. This was one of the crazier games I've seen, back and forth, absolute dead shootout. But I want to talk about Miami specifically because, again, Texas loses to Georgia. And when Georgia lost to Alabama, the same thing happened. And when Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, the same thing happened. Miami doesn't jump any of those teams. Why? Because every single week Miami should lose, and they somehow find a way to win. And the absolute
will to win.
Yeah, the
WTW.
The absolute
can't be measured.
The absolute MVP of Miami's football team is the ACC Command Center. The ACC Replay Command Center. Because once again, for the 3rd consecutive week, they were fortunate to get a call because once again, on the field, Miami has the ball. They're up by 7. Louisville forces a fumble.
Run it back for a touchdown. It's a tie game with 4 minutes to go. It's a 50-50 game at this point. Either way, could go either way. And they clearly, to me, I thought it was very close. It was very close. But I'm watching that, and they showed a bunch of different angles of it, and there's no way in the world you could say conclusively that was a clear incomplete pass because one angle specifically, you could see the ball gets hit on his arm, and it's very hard to tell whether or not he has possession. 2 of the replays may have looked like he was going forward. One of them looked like it was. You cannot overturn that when you're calling the field was a fumble. Jeremiah thought it was incomplete. When I saw it, I was like, man, it looks incomplete. But the call on the field was a fumble, and it's like, I don't know how you overturn that, but I told him sitting there, I was like, I guarantee you they will overturn it. And sure enough, they did. I mean, like I said, if we're trying to get it right, I think that his arm was going forward, but I just don't know how you reverse it. But it's the same thing I told you about Virginia Tech. I don't know, like, was it a catch? Probably not. Can you reverse it in any, like, reverse situations if that's Miami? It's a touchdown every time.
100 times, yeah.
I don't know how you reverse it. But they reversed this one as well, and Miami's 7-0. So yeah, game was crazy. Miami will be a fun team to watch in the playoff just for the simple fact that, like, they'll more than likely get beat, but they're the one offense that, although they just do some crazy shit, they could score on score 40 points on anybody.
Sure.
So but their defense is equally as just tragic. So
now, and I will say this, and I thought Louisville got screwed on that call, and I already said that, and I think Miami absolutely should have at least 2 losses. And I was in here the first time this happened with Virginia Tech, somewhat defending them. I go back now and look at that. The fact that they have gotten all 3 of those calls. There was a Hail Mary. The no catch against Virginia Tech. Call was called a touchdown on the field. Overturned. Call went their way. Shouldn't have gone their way. Game 2, they're playing Cal. Clear targeting called on the field. Reviewed it. Picked up the flag. Clearly targeting.
I forgot about that when I was sleeping, but you showed me on the pod like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and I was like,
you said it was targeting.
That was like, yeah, letter. That was
letter of the law targeting.
Yeah, it was on a receiver, too.
On a receiver, defenseless receiver. They called it targeting on the field. They picked the flag up. 2 in a row. This one was the least bad of the 3.
Oh, yeah.
But it was still
bad. They probably
bad.
deserved to win the game. I mean, Louisville
That's the only
great,
thing I will say is watching Louisville try to tackle
and
was
Louisville,
like watching, it was literally like if you have, and I'm not making fun of anybody, but like if you have a special kid and it's a Make-A-Wish thing and they let him score a touchdown, right? Like that's what the defense looked like trying to tackle Miami. It was just, what the is going on out there?
I was following the Gamecast at my niece's soccer game for that one, and I was looking at it. And I don't know what the final stats were. We don't necessarily. Or I'm probably finding it right now.
No, I got it.
We don't need to look. But Miami. Okay, it says they were.
Miami had 550 yards.
It says they were 9 of 15 on third down. Listen, in the
2 of 2 on fourth down.
Yeah, in the second half, Miami had 2 straight drives where it was like they got 8 or 9 third downs in a row, and they were like 3rd and 6s. It was like no matter what, they would get it.
Yep.
And I was like, what on earth is Louisville doing? But yeah, it was a crazy game. It was 1,000 yards of offense and 100 points.
I'll tell you what, the guy who, and he'll never get a Heisman nod because his numbers aren't good enough, but the guy who's I think is the best college football receiver in the country, and I've said this before, is Xavier Restrepo. The guy is freaking believable. Unreal. He had another 7 catches for 101 yards. He's had 4 games in college football of over 100 yards in the ACC this year, right? He's only got 6 touchdowns, which is still a lot, but it's just like not for a Heisman candidate. But man, that guy, and he's going to be a good pro too. He's going to be a good slot receiver in the pros. He's unreal good, and Cam Ward has every weapon to throw to, and he's been fine.
He's got to be the Heisman favorite now, right?
I think it's Genty.
Question.
I think it's Genty.
Oh, they have Genty.
I could be wrong. I
hope they give it to Genty. They just never give it to running backs, especially small school running backs. So
Heisman, Genty remains the favorite, and and apparently it's white. The margin is widening. It says.
I have a feeling. I just know the media that
Dylan Gabriel is the second favorite right now.
Really?
Genty is plus 210. Dylan Gabriel is plus 275. Travis Hunter's plus 300. Cam Ward is plus 500.
I would be. It's going to be close. Let's jump into the next one. Tennessee, Alabama. Bailey. The Tennessee Volunteers found a way. Dylan wasn't happy about it. You gave up Alabama as one of your picks.
Yeah, that
right?
was the difference on my website for going 2-1 or 1-2. And they led the entire game.
It was hilarious.
Lost.
It was a bad. I would say for like all shows, it was a bad week for picks. They were showing not that they're great, but the Barstool Sports Advisor Stu Big Cat and Jersey Jerry went Big Cat was 1 for 6, Jersey Jerry was 0 for 6, and Stu Finer, the source, was 0 for 5.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm dead serious.
They went like 0 and 18 combined.
Yeah.
Back to Tennessee though. Bama 100% I thought should have won the game. Now, that said, who was the reason they lost? Jalen Milroe, man. Could not move the ball. Could not complete a pass down the stretch. And then after the defense, who really stepped up if you want to be honest for Alabama. Tennessee didn't score in the first half. Did not score a single point. I know they scored 24 in the second half, but they scored points off turnovers. And Milroe gets the ball back with 2 minutes to go, needing, I believe, a touchdown to tie the game.
Yeah.
And throws an interception on the first play. He threw 2 picks. He was 25 for 45 for 239 yards, only 5 yards per pass. Dude, he targeted Ryan Williams, the freshman wide receiver, the sensational 17-year-old.
15 times?
19 times.
Yeah.
19
I was flipping back and forth, and
he doesn't throw it to anyone else.
Yeah.
He doesn't throw it to anyone else.
And he threw a bad pick on like the 3-yard line where he tried to throw him a fade instead of them running the ball in.
It would have been 14-0.
Yeah.
It would have been 14-0.
No. That first one would have been first
I know,
7-0.
I know, but then they ended up going up 7-0,
Yeah.
and they would have been up 14-0 in that point.
Yep.
Now,
Tennessee definitely dominated. What a weird fucking team. Dominated the second half.
Yeah.
But
did.
Tennessee, in 3 straight games, supposed to be a juggernaut offensively, had 0 points in the first half.
it's only the third time that's ever happened in SEC football.
And they won 2 of the games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have lost all 3. They should have lost to Florida last week. They should have lost to Bama this week.
Florida, all of a sudden, I thought Napier had completely lost that locker room. They're playing much better football.
You know what's funny is I completely agree with you, and I was going to give that take on the podcast today, and I forgot. So I clicked on their schedule. Here's their schedule for the rest of the way.
It's the toughest schedule in the country, right?
It is, but just like the fact, okay, so they're 4-3 right, and I'm like, man, they're going to make a bowl game. Versus Texas, versus LSU. Versus Georgia, at Texas, versus LSU, versus Ole Miss, at Florida State.
Here's the thing.
That's one win.
If they find a way to win 2 games, and this is a crazy take because people in Florida don't like him, if he finds a way to win 2 games, he should keep his job.
Well, I agree.
They played the toughest schedule in the country. Their team was dead to rights after the first 3 games. Backup quarterback, and they get bowl eligible. No one at Florida. I think one of my brother's bosses, I forget which one it is, like a diehard big Florida booster, and everybody wants him gone. But but I've never had a problem with him. I've liked them. I liked them at Louisiana Lafayette, but yeah, I'm surprised they're doing that well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Illinois put the hammer down on Michigan, right?
Real quick, before we go to that one, I want to say one thing. Nico, and I'm going to pronounce his last name for once.
Nico
Iamaleava.
Great player.
Okay? Dude, he has been extremely disappointing. I don't know if Bailey, if you watched the game, they paid that guy $8 million to go there. He sucks. Like, he is really, really bad. And I understand he's young. He's a sophomore. Dude, he is terrible.
I think he's going to get better. He's not. He didn't.
He didn't look like he's going to get better. He doesn't look like he's going to get better.
But you got to remember, this is the first year of him starting. It's SEC teams,
dude,
man.
I get it, but man, I mean, it's like unplayable bad at times. I don't think he's going to get better. And I will tell you this:
he made a couple bad decisions and should have thrown one more pick. He did have a couple balls that were like hit guys on the fingertips. Where I'm like, man, you got to make that catch, like deep balls. But I listen. I agree with you. I thought the numbers he was putting up early in the year were kind of, fool's gold against those bad teams. And it wasn't even really his numbers. It was just the offense that was putting up just nuts numbers. But I mean, I don't know, man. I think he's got some potential. I think he's going to be okay. Is it worth $8 million? No, but
2 things. I still think Tennessee is going to lose 2 more games because I think he sucks. They should have lost to Florida, right, at home, right? They should have lost to Bama. They should have lost their last 3 games. But looking at their schedule,
it's all going to come down to Vanderbilt.
It is. And my bold prediction,
teams collide.
My bold prediction right now is Vanderbilt will upset them in the last
Bailey
game.
All stirred
no.
Dude.
That's just here's the truth of the matter, whether you want to accept it or not. Vanderbilt's a better team than Tennessee right now. They are. They're a better team than Tennessee. They have a better quarterback. They have a better coach. They have a better team. They don't have a better defense, but they have a better everything else. They're playing in Vanderbilt. Not that it's home field advantage, but they're not playing in Neyland Stadium is the key, right? They're not playing there. But also, last thing, that's absolutely absurd.
And Tennessee has to play UTEP.
That Tennessee,
don't forget about that.
Tennessee plays 4 consecutive home games in the SEC is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Good for football when Rocky Top's there.
No, I'm actually after watching. I'm on Bailey's side. Watching Tennessee steal the last 2 games. I hate Tennessee.
Rocky Top, you'll always.
What was the other game you wanted to talk about?
Oh, just want to talk about my Illini beating the shit out of Michigan. And some of the ugliest throwbacks the world has ever seen. They were glorious out there.
Those were really good.
Illinois puts the hammer down on Michigan.
Is
and
that
big Brett Bielema is 6-1.
Is Michigan, dude? And they almost lost to Purdue the week before. That was crazy. Is Michigan is this the new Michigan? Are they going to suck for a while with this coach with Sharon Moore? He's horrible, man.
Yeah,
he's horrible.
This is the new unless Portnoy. He said he's going to spend $2 to $3 million on a quarterback.
I don't think it matters. I think with him at coach, it doesn't matter.
Here's a crazy.
They made a bad hire.
Here's a crazy thing for you. And I'm going to jinx another Big Ten team, but I love myself some Brett Bielema. They're going to lose to Oregon next week, but they close the season with, and now listen, they'll probably slip up in one of these games, right? But they close the season with Minnesota, who they should win, Michigan State at home. Both those games are at home. It's hard to win in Piscataway, but Rutgers
let me tell you.
Bad in Northwestern. If they play good football, they should. On paper, they'll be favored in every single one of those games. So it's going to be interesting if their only loss is to Oregon in the Penn State. They're getting in with 2 losses.
Hold on. I think they might. But again, here's the debate again, right? Like, you're going to look at teams in the SEC who play these grueling, brutal schedules, and you're going to look at this Illinois team who, at the end of the year, if we're looking at the schedule, the only ranked teams they play, they're going to lose to, right? Kansas was ranked at the beginning of the year. They're horrible, right? Nebraska was ranked when they played them. They're horrible.
I get that.
Michigan will not be ranked. So they're going to play Oregon on the road and Penn State on the road. They're going to get beat both those games and win every other game. I'm not saying that they're not going to get in, but I do not think they're a lock to get in. I think if there's 2 or 3 SEC teams who have 3 losses versus this team, Illinois, all the SEC teams would get in before them.
It just depends what they're going to do.
Yep.
It really depends what the committee is going to do.
Now, if they're
talking about the losses or the strength of schedule.
Now, if it's Texas A&M with that, they're not getting in because that's the biggest joke of a schedule I've ever seen, and they're going to lose 3 games.
The problem with running into the Big Ten with playoff teams is this: Oregon and Penn State are going to get in. Ohio State's going to get in, right? Are they really going to put 4 Big Ten teams in? They could. But if Illinois, I don't think they will either. I think it will probably be the SEC teams. However, if Illinois, I get that their schedule's not great, but if their only 2 losses are against number 1 and say Penn State keeps on winning in their top 10, and you only lose to number 1 on the road and only lose to number 10 on the road, I think it's going to be really hard to leave them out. Now, it's Big Ten football. Illinois is not like an offensive juggernaut. Obviously, their defense looks good. Will they slip up one of the Final 4 games? Probably. I don't necessarily. I could definitely see them losing.
I just think, and we'll have a better idea when the college football playoff rankings come out. But I do think it's very telling when you look at the standings right now, and like Iowa State and BYU are both undefeated. Indiana's undefeated. Illinois has 1 loss. All those teams are behind Alabama. So Alabama at 5-2 is ahead of Illinois at 6-1.
Oh, for sure.
LSU, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia.
It just depends what the committee. It all depends on what the committee wants to weigh on, right? If they're going to use the same system that they do in FCS football, where it's like all about who you play and your wins and losses don't even really matter, then you're going to get the SEC teams.
And I think with this system,
but it's just hard for me to with them especially and obviously Illinois is an outlier, but especially with them. Like if you only have 2 losses to number 1 and number 7, I don't know how you don't put them in.
I think in this system they're going to lean heavily on who they think are the better teams, not the records. That's what I think. I think when you go to a 4 team, you have to more look at the resume because you have to clarify to get it down. You can't just say, oh, they have 2 losses, but they're better. Yeah. But I think when you get to this big of a playoff, they're going to be much more inclined to say, okay, yeah, they have 3 losses, but we can really look at schedule now because it's so many teams and we want the best 12 teams in. That's what we're going to do. That's what I think they're going to do. Okay, real quick.
Bailey, be honest over there. Just shake your head yes or no. You don't have to, give a comment, but are you thinking about the college football playoff in any way? Yes or no? Yeah. Yep.
It's not. They lost to Georgia State.
Love it.
I love Vanderbilt. I just said I really like them. But if they had not lost to Georgia State, absolutely it's on the table. They had no shot. They could win out. They won't make the play. If
they win out, they're in.
I don't think so.
Of course. If
Losing to Georgia State.
Yeah, if they only have 1 loss, they're in for sure, dude.
They lost to Missouri.
Oh, I thought you were talking about... Oh, I thought you were saying they only had 1 loss.
No, they have 2 losses.
I forgot they lost to Missouri.
They lost to Georgia State and Missouri back-to-back weeks.
But Bailey is right. Technically, if they run the table, they get in. I think.
Okay, hold on. If they won the table and won the SEC championship, obviously, are they automatic? Would they? would they? I guess could they have beat Texas? They might actually.
Well,
they beat Texas, LSU, and Tennessee. They would be in.
Sure,
they're not.
That goes
run
back
the
to the argument though, where
they're going to lose this week to Texas. They're 18-point underdogs. I like Vanderbilt, and honestly, I wouldn't even be mad if they beat Texas. I truly wouldn't, because I think it'd honestly be funny, assuming it's Quinn. If it's Arch, I'm going to be all in.
Vanderbilt's 18-point underdogs.
Yeah.
Oh, they're covering that.
Probably. But Texas is going to win that game by 2 touchdowns. Look, I like Vanderbilt, and besides this week against Texas, I hope they win every other game, and I hope they, flirt with whatever. You have the idea of putting them in the playoff, whatever, sure. The reality is they beat Ball State, who's literally the second worst team in the country, by 10 this week. Okay, they were losing. They were tied. They were tied going into the fourth quarter. It was 14-14. They were losing at the end of the first quarter. Ball State. I watched Ball State play 3 games because I bet on an over with them 2 times. They are one of the worst teams in the country. It was literally 14-14.
Listen, I'm not going to stand for any more Vanderbilt.
No, I love Vanderbilt more than anybody.
Oh yeah, it sure sounds like it.
I'm just saying, let's not act like they're going to the college. Let's not act like they're going to the college football playoff. They lost to Georgia State. They barely beat Ball State.
Oh, and my brother said, of course, Jeremiah doesn't give you credit on any of your good picks because you've been pretty good this year, but he said, nice Nebraska pick, asshole.
Hey, how does Jeremiah, how does Jackson Arnold taste on the bench right now? Yeah.
Oh, man.
He got back in this week, and they lost. What are they? 3 points for Jackson Arnold, the Heisman favorite.
I can't believe he
what a horrible pick.
Oh, wow.
What a horrible I'd be embarrassed.
Why? First of all, why are you using the F word?
Hold on. You use the F word, too.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, this show you haven't?
I did a couple times.
That's right. So have I. You've used it more than I have.
No, I think you're ahead now. I think
we'll see.
I think you just burned
Shut the
two
f*** up.
there.
Shut the f*** up.
There you go. Perfect.
All right. Now I win. This is my show, okay? I'm the captain now.
All right.
No, okay. That's all we got for this show.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed episode number 55 of the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. If you're new to the show, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out our short videos. Make sure to check out our Pick'em show this week. We didn't do great on our picks.
Great big news out of San Antonio. The great Monty Williams, new head coach at TMI basketball.
We got to get him on the show.
By the way, we do. Congratulations, Monty. You're going to make $13 million a year coaching TMI. That is pretty
Monty,
sweet.
Go.
We're the biggest TMI, what are they, the Panthers?
Supporters? I don't know. Yeah, Panthers.
Think they're Panthers. Think that sounds right. Big Monty Williams guys. I cannot believe the Pistons got rid of him. I said that's absolutely.
By the way, I was a finalist for that TMI job when and hold on.
This one hurts.
No. They hired Bruce Bowen over me. I was one of the last 2. I hired Bruce Bowen over me for the TMI job, and now they hire Monty Williams.
Did you hear that Bruce did so this was, when I was talking to you about it, I was like, you said they won state last year, which isn't like a great achievement. It's TAPS 3A. But, they Bruce Bowen came out in news and was like, yeah, it wasn't my decision. Yeah, no.
So then he got fired.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They were like, hey, we're just going to go with Monty Williams.
Have you ever seen him coach?
No, but
he's a lunatic, dude.
Oh, I like it.
No, it's actually hilarious. Like, I'm talking.
I like this. I didn't know he was like that. I just thought he didn't give a shit. So he loses his mind
at the kids.
Oh, I love that.
And the officials.
That's good.
It's hilarious.
That's good, hard, old school coaching.
It's hilarious.
We'll got to find a spot for Bruce somewhere around town here.
Oh yeah,
I think
100%.
I think he's doing okay.
I think he's all right too.
All right.
All right.
Shout out Monty.
Shout out Monty. Shout out San Antonio. Shout out Zito's. Go eat Zito's. Get yourself a serious sandwich. Best sandwich place in town.
Yep.
Have a great week. Enjoy football. We'll check out our Pick'em show. Be out this week
go
as well.
Thundercats. I had to plug the Thundercats.
Get out of here.
My brother's team. And I called him my brother's team, and Coach Troy lost his mind.
We're running out of time. Get it out. Spit it out, bitch. Let's
go. 1 game away from the immaculate season. Have not given up a goal.
Holy shit. We need film of the championship.
One team, 50 minutes. Yeah, I'll get it
one
on video.
Team, one goal,
one dream.
Yes. And they win it all undefeated, no goals given up. Thundercats go. And go Bearcats, Sam Houston State.
Quarterback got hurt. Still love them. Still control their own destiny in Conference USA.
Hey, they're going to go to the championship. All right, but seriously, now we're going to leave. We're going to be done now. All right, have a good week.
Got the Thundercats plug in. I would have gotten in trouble.